Yeah, that's right, guys. So really, the new severe thunderstorm warning is for Jackson, Cass, and eastern Johnson County, and this is going to go until 4:45. So your phone might be going off, and that's for the 80-mile-per-hour wind. So it's the strong wind signature that we're seeing with this storm, and it's mainly the Interstate 49. The 435 corridor and the 470 corridor down towards Lee's Summit, Belton, Raymore. This is kind of the core of the severe thunderstorm that we're watching for the strongest wind. So that is this new warning here until 4:45, and this is impacting about 100 or 1.4 million people too here across the metro. I want to go into our velocity mode and show you the wind signatures that I'm getting here on FOX4 radar, and that's where we're seeing some of these strongest winds right down here. So this is not rotating winds. This is more of straight line wind damage. And it's moving through Raymore and Grandview, tracking up. This is kind of the leading edge. So moving towards Unity Village, Lake Jacomo, Lee's Summit, Lake Lotawana, Greenwood, just north of Pleasant Hill. And so this is where we're seeing some of the strongest winds right now. Damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. We've already seen 75-mile-per-hour gusts on the Kansas side out in Johnson County. So it's just kind of widespread strong winds that we're seeing across the metro right now. The flash flooding concern is also still a big issue for us right now in the metro. And that's where we've been seeing rainfall rates from 1 to 2 inches an hour. And so a flash flood warning continues for the entire metro until 8:15. So it's kind of a dual threat right now. We've also been dealing with some of the large hail up to golf ball size in parts of the metro. So it's the hail, it's the damaging winds, and it's the flooding right now. Essentially 3 different modes of severe weather and 3 different hazards that we're getting right now across the metro. Lightning count is still nearly 2,000 strikes here in the last 15 minutes. And I do want to zoom in and still watch this hail core that's coming through downtown Kansas City. It's just near severe limits, probably around quarter-size hail. And I'm not sure what camera we have up in the control room that may show some of the flooding across the metro. I do have our downtown view right now, though, from our Boulevard camera. So there you go. Right now, what you're looking there is that's I-35 at Penway Park, the Casey Wheel, and Southwest Boulevard. We're getting over 8 inches of standing water there right now, and so that's causing the flash flooding that we're seeing across the Kansas City metro. So we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect here, the strongest of which is for Jackson County, northern Cass County, and this is the one that's going to go until 4:45. So that's what we're watching here. Here's another view from our live storm ranger, and this is Michelle. She's coming back in through downtown Kansas City right now, and I can actually pull up her location and see where she is on our radar because she's also watching for some of the flooding that we're seeing across the Kansas City metro. And that's where we're watching, especially through downtown, but also in some other areas, kind of the classic areas that flood first on some of the roadways. And so she right now is tracking through downtown Kansas City. There we go. And so it looks like they're now on the east side of Kansas City heading out towards Independence. So there is the storm ranger right now heading east on Interstate 70. So here's another view of the Penway I-35 flooding. The flooding is an issue. The winds are an issue. Joe, Lauria also here. And Joe, these are some strong winds.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, when you start seeing 75-mile-an-hour winds, yep, that's a big issue, and that has created some power issues. At last report, and this was probably about 25 minutes ago, we were getting upwards of about 5,000 customers without power because of the strong winds coming on through. And the main threats for these storms appear to be more in the hail and damaging wind flooding categories. Right now, the tornadic threat, while not zero, is on the lower side, and this may be a little bit more towards the south and east of downtown Kansas City, particularly down towards southeastern Jackson County and points east from there. So that's going to be a concern. Should also bring up that some of these hailstones, at least about maybe a half hour ago, were upwards of golf ball size, if not even bigger than that. Got a report from Kearney a little while ago of hail upwards of 2.5 inches in diameter. That's some pretty big stuff. We've got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect, including many areas of the metro within the 435 loop. This will go up through Ray County, Caldwell County, Livingston County, Davies County as well. This entire area under a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, for parts of the area, the reason why maybe some of your Cell phones went off just a little while ago is because that thunderstorm that was producing the 75-mile-an-hour winds towards Olathe just a little while ago was indicating that maybe we could get close to 80-mile-an-hour winds. And when a thunderstorm has the ability of producing 80-mile-an-hour winds, we call that a considerable destructive thunderstorm, if you will, and that will set off your phone. So if you're wondering why your phones have gone off, not because of a tornado warning, but because of the really extreme winds, upwards of close to 75, if not 80 miles an hour associated with some of these storms. I should also bring up that really the entire viewing area, except for just a couple of our counties up across far north central and northeast Missouri, are under a tornado watch. And this is going to go upwards until about 9 o'clock or so for this evening. So far, we haven't had any reports of tornadoes anywhere in our viewing area, which is always great news. But whether or not it's a tornadic storm that produces some damage with 80-mile-an-hour winds or strong straight line winds producing damage at 80-mile-an-hour winds, that's going to be a big issue, at least for a little while longer. That considerable, or destructive, I should say, severe thunderstorm, that goes until about 4:45 or so. So we've got about another 10 minutes of dealing with that as that moves through parts of Jackson County and soon to be upwards into Clay County as well. So there's a lot on the table here within the metro, and Jacob's been highlighting this flooding situation. If you read my weather blog yesterday or today, first thing this morning, I mentioned how these storms coming through during the evening rush could create flooding scenarios, and that's what we've been seeing across most of the 435 corridor, and we continue to have our flash flood warning in effect up until about 8:15 or so, and you can tell that involves close to 1.5 million people. And these storms are extremely electrical. It's no wonder folks are losing power because of all this lightning. The good news, in a sense, is the activity may start to lighten up. This will be the first batch that comes on through, and this will continue to go up the I-35 corridor, up into portions of north central Missouri. Hail will be a big issue with some of this activity. And for those of you, I wanted to quickly mention, down towards Pleasant Hill, you might be hearing the sirens. Sometimes some communities will trigger off their sirens because of a destructive thunderstorm with that 80-mile-an-hour wind threshold. So again, not tornadic related, but strong winds or strong winds. So make sure you're away from the windows as this whole complex of thunderstorms moves on through. But it is impressive, that is for sure. Look at all these lightning strikes. We're now closing in on close to 3,400 in just about the past 15 minutes or so. We are just under this whole wall of lightning, and it goes from Iowa right down the I-35 corridor, and then the lightning starts to become a little bit more sporadic down towards the south of US 50, I should say, and that's hopefully where things are starting to break up just a little bit in terms of the lightning activity.
And Joe, we do have Michelle, who's kind of on the east side of the metro now, who's tracking some of the flooding and strong winds. Michelle?
Yep. Hey, Jacob and Joe, you just missed those 80-mile-per-hour winds. We had those as we are pushing now east on 70 towards the stadiums. When we were on that part of I-70 that's elevated, we were definitely getting pushed around to the point where I even felt uneasy sitting in my seat, like as if the car was going to just kind of slowly start shifting off towards the side and the shoulder of the roadway, because those winds were extremely intense. And I can tell you this much, the sky is talking. We have had rumbles of thunder that you literally feel in your chest. There has been a ton of lightning that we've seen. The rainfall has been extremely torrential at times. That has reduced visibility, especially when we had the blowing winds. That rain was going sideways at times. And the wind, when it gets much stronger, it's been kind of pushing the FOX4 Storm Ranger around quite a bit. And this is a high-profile vehicle, so that is to be expected, especially with that alert that came out warning us of the potential for some of those 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And now, the other big issue that we've noticed is a lot of the roads, including the majors. We saw it on 435, we saw it on 32, coming back up to 70. There is a ton of ponding. And there are some roadways that are completely covered. I know, Jacob, you have been mentioning at length I-35 at Penway, how that's been flooded with, upwards of 8 inches of rainfall at this point, and it could be growing even. Obviously, that's going to be dangerous on any roadway, and there's many other locations, especially any low-lying areas, that are seeing some of that major ponding happening. So I'm very glad that National Weather Service did issue that flash flood warning, because I can truly attest to you all at home, that is a genuine concern while Jerry and I are out here tracking these storms, because a lot of folks have had their flashers going with some of that major ponding on the roadways. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. So we also have a view. This is at 107th and Lamar in Overland Park with a tree down. That's a massive tree. So we've had wind reports on the Johnson County side and the Jackson County side of the metro, over 75 miles per hour. And this is just a preview of what the damage looks like across the metro. I am certain that this is not the only tree that has been blown over in these significant damaging winds that we've seen moving through the Kansas City metro in the last 30 minutes to an hour. And this is why those severe thunderstorm warnings were in effect widespread for the metro, as we've seen gusts even at the airport over 70 miles per hour within the last 30 minutes. So that's the damage we're seeing. Again, there was Michelle in our storm ranger. She was out at 435 and I-70 tracking this, and this is where the strongest winds are right now out in northern Jackson County. These radar estimates are underdoing it because we're a little close to the radar and the winds are almost kind of moving parallel to the radar beam up there, so it's not capturing it properly. But a little while ago, these were showing 70-mile-per-hour wind estimates, and so that's what's happening now on Missouri 7 highway north of Blue Springs all the way up to Buckner there and the Missouri River. So Blue Springs north towards the Missouri River, northern Jackson County, that is where we are seeing the strongest winds right now, and that's this severe thunderstorm warning. It's in this dark yellow color until 4:45 here. I would think that's going to get extended further north. Clay and Ray County, you would be next in line for seeing some of these strongest winds. So we're seeing the widespread damaging wind threat here across the Kansas City metro. Multiple warnings still in effect for our entire FOX4 area, and the strongest of which is this one in the metro. We still have Caldwell, Carroll, Clay, Clinton, Davies, and Grundy up in northern Missouri until 5 o'clock in a severe thunderstorm warning. Wyandotte, Buchanan, Clay, Clinton, Jackson, and areas up north on the Missouri River until 5:15, and we're going to continue to keep these severe thunderstorm warnings updated as we go through this evening. Again, the flash flooding concern remains an issue. Joe, I want to re-highlight this flash flood warning that's in effect for the Kansas City metro until 8:15. Our rainfall rates are anywhere from 1 to 2 inches per hour, and so the whole metro under this flash flood warning until 8:15. We've seen a lot of flooding reports from the metro interstates, and traffic just a mess.
Yeah, downtown just had a wind gust to 61 miles an hour. That destructive thunderstorm warning is going to expire in a couple of minutes. But again, here's Michelle and there's Michelle. So you get a good outline of exactly what she's experiencing. 435 on the south side, right down through there. Actually, yeah, 435 on the south side, east side, I should say, of Kansas City. But a lot of traffic, and this is just an ill-timed complex of thunderstorms coming on through for the evening rush, and that's what's making this thing a lot more on the tricky side for anybody who's trying to get away from the downtown vicinity. Look at all the hail. Now, the hail does seem like it has decreased a little bit, perhaps in size. There are still a couple of areas up here towards northeastern portions of Clay County, extending on up towards the Davies County area and western portions of Ray County that might be getting some hail. But overall, not all that bad. Let me show you some damage video that we just got in. This is down towards, I believe it was State Line Road. And you can kind of take a look at it. Again, it's damage that we've seen from these 70 close to 80-mile-an-hour winds. Do we have that video? There we go. Look at this. I mean, just with the winds blowing, if it was trash day, this is a rough day for the trash cans. We've seen some trees come down. Lauren just told me a little while ago, close to 22,000 customers are without power right now, according to Evergy. So that's going to be an issue here for the next couple of hours until the storms start to wind on down. Let's bring it back to me if we can. Let me show you some of our exclusive information that nobody else can show you. And this is our tornado predictor. Now, it's been a little overzealous for some of these predictions, perhaps a little too high, but we just have to watch this area from Harrisonville down towards Nevada. That seems to be an issue in terms of the potential of maybe getting these storms to rotate just a little bit more. But like I mentioned, this has been a little overzealous in its model depiction as far as what it thinks is going to happen with these storms. If you are making plans for this evening, there are going to be some breaks in the rain, but basically just expect there to be rain. Showers and thunderstorms are going to be out there during the evening. Temperatures will go from near 70 down to about 67 by about the midnight hour. I would expect these thunderstorms to continue off and on into the overnight hours, perhaps a little off at times. And then as we get into the wee hours of tomorrow morning, we'll have some scattered thunderstorms out there, but maybe the worst of the severe weather is happening right now. Maybe the second round that comes through this evening, at least for Kansas City, if we get that second round, won't be quite as severe because the thunderstorms are going to kind of work over the atmosphere over the next few minutes or so. So that's certainly some good news in terms of what we're expecting for the remainder of this afternoon and early for this evening. And again, just a reminder that we continue to have this tornado watch in effect for virtually the entire viewing area. This is going to go until 9 o'clock tonight. And here are all the different severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect as well. I want to do some storm tracking for you because I want to follow up on some of these communities that are going to be hit. Again, remember, here's your flash flood warning. This goes until 8:15. This encompasses the metro area. And in terms of storm tracking itself, this cluster of thunderstorms that's racing towards the northeast at close to 55 miles an hour, this is going to be a big problem for areas off towards the north and east of the metro, particularly on up towards Kearney, Liberty. You guys are all in the path of these storms. The back edge of these storms, sort of right about there, or the leading edge of the worst of the storms, the ones that have been producing these 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. These storms will continue to train over the same area. So you folks in Cameron, you've got more heavy rain coming your way. Chillicothe, more torrential rain coming your way. Unionville by about 7 o'clock. Centerville by about 7:18. So again, all these areas are in line to continue to pick up more severe weather over the next several hours as these storms continue to move off towards the northeast at close to 55 miles an hour. So that's going to be a big issue. You can see all the thunderstorm and lightning activity. Worst of the lightning now shifting towards the north side of the metro, eastern Platte County, western portions of Ray County, all the way up through Excelsior Springs. Again, you could make out sort of the I-35 corridor right in through there, and that just seems to be ground zero. The best news, look what happens though once you get south of I-70. The activity really trails off significantly. So things are going to settle down at least for a little while, and for the metro, they're really, after this first batch comes through, notice as we kind of look down here towards our south, there's really not a lot going on. I mean, there's some pretty good stuff certainly for areas south and east of Kansas City, but this bulk heavy activity is going to continue to move off towards the northeast at 50, and then we're probably going to go into a little bit of a lull for a while for the evening hours where things could start to drain off just a little bit. Jacob and Alex are both helping us out for this evening in terms of covering these storms. Here's a look at Michelle. She's in the store. Actually, go back to Jacob first, and we'll get back over to Michelle. Jacob.
I just wanted to show you kind of the downtown view. As you were showing, Joe, the storms, the strongest damaging winds, the hail, the heaviest rain is now moving north of downtown Kansas City, so it's kind of the north metro. And we've also seen the flash flood warning issued north of the river too. So this is the flash flood warning here, this bottom row for the metro that goes until 8:15. But now Caldwell County, Clinton, Davies, DeKalb, and Ray County, so another tier north of the Missouri River, added to a new flash flood warning until 8:30. We still have these 3 active severe warnings for Caldwell, Clay, Clinton, Jackson, Lafayette, and Ray County until 5:30. This one till 5 o'clock for Caldwell, Carroll, and Clinton. And the Wyandotte Buchanan warning here goes until 5:15. Again, over 20,000 customers without power here in the metro. Our current lightning strike counter is just now jumping over 2,300 lightning strikes, most of those from Jackson County north. Clay County is really the bullseye for some of these strongest storms right now. There's a little bit of a hail core here north of Nolan Road in northern Jackson County, kind of right along the Missouri River between Independence and Liberty there on 291 highway. And we now have this new severe warning that has also been extended further up towards the north. So that is going to go here until 5:15. Here's the roadway flooding there. We're waiting for it to reload. This is I-35 at Penway, and that's where we've been seeing some of the worst flooding as well. So again, these darker yellow colors mean that we've seen and observed a more destructive type of winds, the 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, and that's what set off your phones a while ago here across the Kansas City metro. And we're seeing the strong winds too on FOX4 radar. Going over here to the velocity mode, we're seeing wind estimates there anywhere from 40 to 70 miles per hour. So here again is the view of the Penway and I-35. So again, we're looking kind of south. There's Crossroads West Side, the Wheel, our FOX4 Tower and Signal Hill off in the distance. And so this is the northbound lanes on I-35. So we're now up to maybe 9 inches of standing water. So we are dangerously close to water stalling some of these vehicles. So really these northbound lanes are the worst. And pretty soon, I've seen it before, people are going to have to exit there. There's a stalled vehicle there on the side of the roadway, and that's through the crossroads here, and that's coming in from the north side. So I do want to come back here to the winds and go further south, because we've also have a new severe thunderstorm warning further south down here for Harrisonville and parts of Jackson, Caldwell County, further south. This is though for Warrensburg, Pleasant Hill areas. So Cass, Jackson, Johnson County on the Missouri side until 5:15. So as Joe was mentioning, we're kind of watching some of these southern storms for maybe a slightly higher chance to rotate. And I want to just check in again on that with our exclusive FOX4 StormNet to forecast where we're seeing rotation. Right now, the tornado predictor not as hot currently on some of those southern storms, which is good news. The damaging wind threat, though, over the next hour remains very high, especially north of the Missouri River. So Clinton, Caldwell, Ray counties, kind of where we're seeing some of the worst wind here over the next hour. And then our hail forecast, the exclusive over the next hour, is really kind of looking the strongest down in Cass County with this lone cell that's pushing up towards Pleasant Hill. So a lot of activity here, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, all these clusters moving north-northeast away from the metro. Interesting, Joe, there's still some activity back along the cold front on western Kansas, and we still could see that later this evening.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. A lot of those storms, though, are moving towards the north-northeast, so maybe a bigger threat for parts of northeastern Kansas and far northwestern Missouri. Let me show you some of the storm reports that we've gotten, and we'll be filling these in much more, though, over the next couple of hours as some of the pictures are put on our storm report page. But around the Kearney area, I saw some amazing hail pictures of spiked hail, very spiked hail. Around Kearney, that was about 2.5 inches across, very impressive up towards Kearney. Another hail report just towards the north and west of Liberty. That's the downtown area where 60 to 65 mile an hour winds were coming through. Down towards Olathe, it was Olathe Executive Airport, by the way, down towards 151st Quivira-ish. That reported that 75 mile an hour wind gust. So winds, hail, no tornadoes, thankfully, and flooding. Those seem to be the main calling cards from all these storms coming on through. Cindy, where was this picture taken again?
107th and Lamar down in Overland Park.
All right, thank you, Cindy. That's again that one shot that we showed you earlier, 107th and Lamar, trees knocked down. And you know, it's kind of interesting. Here we are now in the middle to latter stages of May, and with now all the trees being fully leafed out, it's a lot easier to knock over a tree when you have all these strong winds coming on through. So that's why we might be seeing just a little bit of extra tree damage with these storms. Again, a wall of severe thunderstorm warnings from Livingston County through Davies into Caldwell, into Ray, Jackson, Clay, northeastern portions of Platte, eastern Buchanan. This will go all the way up towards the, Davies County area as well. Some other severe thunderstorm warnings further off towards the west. To be honest with you, it's just not right now the greatest setup for tornadoes. A lot of folks are very keyed on the tornado risk, but this whole thing has looked off to me for the last couple of days in terms of tornadic production. But boy, I tell you what, the strong winds are 70, 75 miles an hour at their worst, although maybe not quite as in that department, if you will, right now, but they're still going pretty good, 60 to maybe 70 mile an hour winds associated with any of these storms, and the flash flooding threat continues to be rather high. I want to just have a conversation very quickly, and I don't know if you guys could, in the back, put Jacob and I up next to each other. I wanted to ask Jacob a couple of questions. First of all, Jacob, have you noticed any hail reports? I haven't seen any hail reports coming in lately, or have there been a few that have snuck by me?
There have been some. There was one right in downtown Kansas City. We got a 1-inch quarter-size hail about an hour ago, and then we've just had a lot out in Johnson County. So we had some up to ping pong size there. Where was that? I think that was out near K10. So that's 1.8-inch hail. So that's, ping pong size hail out there in Lenexa about an hour ago. So as the storm moved through. Now further north, as we look for some of the hail reports, we do have some up in Kearney now, so we can query these. I'm seeing up to 1.8 inch. So that was back around 3:30, and then the last hour, Kearney around 4 o'clock there, just over a 1/4 inch. So I think it was from the first round of storms. Yeah. This is now more of a wind line that's coming through the metro. And I did get a report of near Liberty, there's been a lot of damage from some of the strong winds that came through, which is why that severe warning was issued there. So that's where we're seeing the strongest winds here, these bright reds. There's no rotating winds, which is good for our tornado risk, but Ray and Clay counties seeing some of the strongest winds right now. So obviously, lots of lightning. Yeah, so do we have an updated power outage number maybe across the Kansas City metro?
We do, if you can just turn my mic on. So Evergy's up to 30,500, BPU has almost 600. Platte and Clay, not many, but it's jumped. It's almost doubled in the last 15 minutes or so, and Independence Power, 375. Again, they've been steadily climbing quite a bit.
Yeah, started off with just 8 and then 24 and now 30, so it's
and we just got another 60
to go up,
60 plus mile per hour report up at KCI Airport too. So these severe winds continue across the metro. And again, our Michelle Bogowith, Jerry Powie still out in our live storm ranger watching the roads. They're heading to see if they can find some of the damage from those strong winds. I think they're traveling north towards the Missouri River along the Clay and Jackson County lines. And so that's what they're going to be looking for here as we continue our evening news. So coming up here at 5 o'clock, we're going to kind of reset our news coverage as we wait. Yes?
Yeah, we do want to let everyone know too that the National Weather Service has issued people to not head in. If they're going into KC on I-35 northbound, make sure you call those people. The highway's flooded at Penway State in the crossroads, and they're asking people do not drive through that flooded area. That's the area we've been talking about.
Penway Park by the wheel. This is where they're asking. National Weather Service says you need to avoid I-35 there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
15 minutes right now past 7 o'clock. Thank you for rejoining us as we've got a tornado warning. This is what we told you about at 6 o'clock this evening, how the folks in Henry County in particular might be under the gun with a possible tornado warning, and that's what we've got right now. This is a radar indicated circulation, nothing reported on the ground as of yet, but the circulation itself is in the southeast corner of Henry County. So as a result, we've got a tornado warning that's in effect through 7:45 for the next half hour, including Leesville and Tightwad. Again, radar indicated this is affecting roughly about 1,000 people, and this is a storm that has come out of St. Clair County and has moved into Henry County. So again, we want you folks in particular in southeastern portions of Henry County towards the south and east of Clinton. This is passing south of Clinton or southeast of Clinton. To be aware of this circulation. Again, it's radar indicated. You could absolutely see there's stuff going on down here, but whether or not there's anything on the ground remains to be seen. But this thing has been trying to produce something in St. Clair County for the last about hour, give or take. Never got a report of anything actually touching down in St. Clair County, but the circulation itself now has moved up into southeastern portions of Henry County. So here's Deepwater. This is east of Deepwater. Tightwad, Leesville, you're the two communities that seem to be sort of in the path of this. This kind of looks very kind of stretched out and unorganized, but there's definitely something going on down here. So let's kind of watch for this as it moves towards the county line. All right, this will be moving towards the Benton County line here over the next probably about hour or so, and that's why we've got our tornado warning in effect for the southeastern portion of Henry County. This is well towards the south and east of the metro. This will not affect Kansas City. This is going to be more of an issue down towards the Lakes region and into Benton County. Right now it'll pass north of Warsaw. All right, so here's Benton County. There's the circulation in through there, and it's moving northeast at around 25 miles an hour. It's about 10 to 15 miles south and east of Clinton. Here's Missouri Highway 7, by the way. So if you know anybody in this small little corner of southeastern portions of Henry County, and with Henry County being one of our counties that we're responsible for, that's why we're breaking into programming for the next half hour until it crosses over into Benton County. So if you know anybody down here across the southeastern portion of Henry County, just send them a text, make sure they're paying attention to the weather. If you know anybody in the Benton County area, particularly around Lincoln and Ionia, make sure they're aware of this circulation. It's been persistent. It came out of southwestern Missouri a while back, went through St. Clair County, rotated. Tornado warnings were issued for St. Clair County. No reports of anything officially on the ground with that, but it started to perk back up again as it crossed over the border into Henry County, and that's why we've got our tornado warning in effect for the Henry County area. I wanted to kind of give you a better view of the radar from this. Again, it's right in through here. It's heading towards the north and east at around 25, but this is really, in terms of the worst of the weather, really the worst in terms of anything around Kansas City right now. We've got this other activity that we're watching over on the Kansas side right in through here. But notice it's having a tough time moving off towards the east, and a lot of the severe weather aspects of this may be fading. Still have some severe thunderstorm warnings towards the south of I-70. These storms are not moving all that much, and they're training over the same areas. We're watching that little cell down towards Osage City, towards the south of there. Let's keep an eye on that. And again, tornado warnings now, and now we've got something confirmed. All right, confirmed now tornado on the ground. That's going to be now into Benton County. The National Weather Service has issued a confirmed tornado warning for the Benton County area, associated, I guess, right in through here. I'm going to go to Jacob here in just a second. But this is now confirmed. When you see that purple outline, that tells me that tornado has been reported. And let's see if we have more information from that. Let me go over to the other side of the studio. Jacob Lanier keeping an eye on things. Alex back in the Weather Center. Jacob.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. And so the reason this is confirmed, it's a radar confirmed tornado. So we're looking at correlation coefficient here, our debris detector. And I want to zoom in down in here to the southeast corner of Henry County, Missouri, and I'm going to draw a circle around where we have the debris signature. Right now, it is on the Benton and Henry County line here, just south of 7 Highway between Tightwad and Warsaw, essentially. So this is now already about to cross out of Henry County and into Benton County as this tracks up towards the north. So when we see these greens here, like we're seeing on the county line between southeast Henry County and southwestern Benton County, that is where there is debris being detected by radar. It's not raindrops. It's something that is a weird shape, like maybe leaves or limbs from the trees, forest, crops down there, maybe shingles from barns, as a tornado is on the ground there and picking up some of that and lifting it into the atmosphere. So that's why we use the debris detector, because this is a more rural area. There's not a lot of storm spotters around right now. So with the radar signature all the way from here in the Kansas City Metro and Pleasant Hill, we can see debris being lifted up. And this is several thousand feet up, by the way, as this tracks up towards the north. So I also wanted to show the rotation in this storm. It's still been pretty consistent all the way down into St. Clair County. So Joe is tracking this out for you, and I'll have an updated ETA. It's now centered again right kind of on the county line. It should pass just north of Warsaw and head towards Lincoln, and say in about 45 minutes or so, we'll have to watch it approach Cole Camp, maybe an hour. Cole Camp there in northern Benton County. So that's why this is now a confirmed tornado warning for parts of Henry and Benton County. Joe, that's a pretty solid debris signature. There's certainly something in the atmosphere. There's a tornado picking up debris here just south of Tightwad.
So just for bearing's sake, there's Tightwad. All right, this is passing just towards the south and east of the Tightwad area. And I know we've got viewers down there in the Tightwad area. So 2 miles south and east of Tightwad right now. So for you folks down towards Tightwad, Leesville, and Roseland, this is going to pass towards your south and east. So for Leesville, it's about 4 or 5 miles or so southeast of Leeswood, and for Roseland, about 7 miles southeast of the Roseland-Leesville area. So that area in particular is the area of concern right in through here. And we put a storm track on this for you. Here's Highway 65. There's Lincoln. Again, this is in Benton County. And Benton County is really one of our true fringe counties. I know we've got some folks, especially in northern portions of Benton County, watching us up towards the Ionia area. So as Jacob mentioned, if that thing holds together, cold camp, it might be close to you in the next about 45 minutes or so. But it's moving towards the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. Here's Warsaw. If you live in the Warsaw area, or if you know somebody who does live there, this is going to pass just towards the north and west of Warsaw. So just give you a perspective on that. That's about 6 miles or so north and west of Warsaw. So this is an area that really doesn't have a whole bunch of people living in it, but we just want our friends down in Benton County to be aware of what's going on with that storm. A ton of lightning, no doubt about that, but again, the whole thing is spinning around, and radar was showing a little debris signature, which means something is on the ground. That's also a very heavily forested area down there, so it's not hard, if they're assuming the circulation is indeed on the ground, for that stuff to be lifted up, and that's what our radar is starting to ping on just a little bit. New severe thunderstorm warning, just coming out now for Atchison County. Put a storm track on this here for you in just a second. Topeka's about to get into the heavy weather, and this activity down towards Osage City is moving up towards Douglas County over on the Kansas side, and that's going to get more into our area of concern. But for Benton County, again, just remember, tornado warning continues until 7:45, Jacob, or
Yep.
do they go to, okay. So 7:45 for Benton County, 7:45 as well for southeastern portions of Henry County, but that debris signature has now moved out of, or just about moved out of Henry County. So you folks in Henry County, you'll be cleared from that tornado warning here very, very shortly. For these storms that are out there over on the Kansas side, that's kind of like round 2. And we're going to see how well these things hold together as they come into the metro. Just keep in mind that we've already seen one big cluster of thunderstorms that produced the flooding rains, the 60 to 75 mile an hour wind gusts, the hail that earlier this afternoon, about 3 hours ago, was upwards of golf ball size, bigger than that in some areas. So we'll see how these storms hold together as they move into that rain-cooled, more stabilized boundary that those thunderstorms that happened on top of us generated. So they hopefully will start to weaken as they come into this part of the area. I do want to put a storm track on these storms coming out of Atchison County or moving through Atchison County over on the Missouri side. They're not moving as much or as quickly as the storms that were moving through the area earlier today. But for you folks over towards Atchison County, southeastern portions, you know, down here towards Troy, that general area, Donovan County, Lancaster, that's due in for you by about 7:26. Atchison, 7:43. Troy by about 7:53. St. Joe, heads up for you. That cell towards the north of Nortonville and just towards the west of Lancaster, that's heading your way by about 8:11. Savannah by about 8:20, and Union Star by about 8:37. Again, these are all towards the north and west of Kansas City. I know we're kind of sensitive about thunderstorms right now here in the metro just because of all the flooding and the nasty weather that we got just a few hours ago. But these storms right now are really not advancing east very quickly. Maybe starting to see a little bit more of an east nudge to this stuff out towards the Topeka area. Let's keep an eye on that cell down towards Osage City. This area right in through here actually hasn't had all that much in the way of rain during the course of the afternoon, not nearly like what happened around the metro. So roughly that general area, that's some, you know, parts of the atmosphere that haven't been worked over all that much. So these storms might have some additional fuel to work with here as opposed to here, because we got worked over pretty good along that I-35 corridor. So we had severe thunderstorm warnings for Atchison County, the southern portion of Donovan County as well. That area is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Also out towards Shawnee County and further on down towards the Eskridge, Alma area, severe thunderstorm warnings continue as well. That cell near Osage City needs to be monitored as it moves off towards the north and east towards Douglas County. Let's get back over to Jacob with an update on some of these warnings that have been issued.
Yeah, Joe, so now we kind of have these severe thunderstorm warnings associated with the tornado warnings down to our south and east, down towards the lakes. So again, two separate tornado warnings, both confirmed. One in Benton County, one in Henry County, although Henry is essentially in the clear. I bet this warning's going to be canceled early till 7:45 for the Benton County tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning, as Joe was just showing, up towards the northwest, Atchison, Donovan, and Buchanan, and severe thunderstorm warning for Benton and Henry as well. There's also a flash flood warning in effect for Bates and Henry County further off towards the south, and the flash flood warnings remain in effect for the Kansas City Metro until 8:15. The Northland, that's Ray, Clinton, Caldwell County until 8:30, and then northern Missouri, Grundy, Lynn, Livingston until just after midnight. I did want to go back down to this tornado warning and show you that our tornado predictor is kind of picking up on this with now a moderate chance of this continuing to stay on the ground. It's going to cross 65 highway there just north of Warsaw here shortly. But I also wanted to show this wider view as we look back to the west. Joe is kind of talking about this line of storms. It's moving very slowly. But our tornado predictor is still kind of picking up on the potential for maybe some isolated rotation back in Wabaunsee County near Eskridge. There was a tornado that may have touched down briefly, and we're also watching that Osage City storm. That's only about 30 miles west of our viewing area, so something we need to monitor. So a tornado watch continues until 9 p.m. for the whole Kansas City Metro and essentially the region, and a severe thunderstorm warning up across northern Missouri. And so this is this line of severe thunderstorm warnings, essentially from Atchison to Topeka down towards Emporia. It's moving very slowly, though. The latest storm track on these warnings only has them at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So an idea of what that means for ETA for our area, Lawrence, maybe not until 8:45 or 9 o'clock. So this could take a while for it to enter into places like Douglas, Franklin, and Anderson counties in our western communities. Eudora maybe after 9 o'clock. So this is what we'll monitor and will be that evening round. We've been talking about all weekend, forecasting for today, the second round of this line of embedded storms that may have some gusty winds, maybe an embedded tornado. And this is that round two that we're seeing out to our west. The tornado risk continues down towards the lakes. But again, the metro, we're here in the middle as that round one of flooding moves away from us. So there's the spin in the atmosphere, easy to see. So it looks like now that Henry County has been dropped from the confirmed tornado warning, and now it's just for Benton County. Cole Camp is included. Lincoln, Missouri is included in this. We do have some viewers down here in Cole Camp, so just want to give you a heads up. There still is a tornado on the ground here in northern Benton County, and it is tracking in your direction. I'll zoom in here and kind of query the winds just to show you kind of an estimate of what we're looking at. Because this is broad, but it's strong winds. Leesville, 50 miles per hour, Lincoln, 58 miles per hour. So maybe, or at least this mesocyclone here rotating around 100 miles per hour. So that's something to keep in mind. That's why this is probably producing a tornado. It still is on the ground as it's approaching Lincoln here and 65 highway very shortly. As I'm still seeing maybe a debris signature there. It's a little bit less intact than it was, Joe, but I think there's still kind of a hint of it there, maybe between Tightwad and Leesville.
Yeah, it's kind of getting lost in the noise, it seems, a little bit.
Far away. I'm wondering also if maybe it's right on 65 highway now, north of Warsaw near Lincoln. It's hard to tell. It may be cycling. This storm is a slow mover, and it is kind of cycled and then weakened and then cycled and is kind of going up and down in intensity. So that may be happening here. But yeah, Lincoln, Cole Camp down in northern Benton County, you should be in your tornado safe place right now until this warning continues for the next 15 minutes.
All right,
so.
You showed the southern part of the timeline on these storms over towards Topeka. Let me show you the northern part of these storms from Atchison County all the way down into Jefferson County. I've slowed down the storm movement just a little bit as Jacob mentioned, around 20 to 25 miles an hour. So that's going to slow things down just a little bit for Atchison, 751. St. Joe around 8:30, King City around 9:12, Clarksdale around 9:32, and that's associated with this northern area of stronger thunderstorm weather. So we've got a severe thunderstorm warning right there into Atchison County, severe thunderstorm warning right there into the western and northwestern portions of Shawnee County, and then a county even further west of that towards the east of Alma over on the Kansas side. And again, the activity is basically moving towards the east, northeast, maybe a little bit more northeast at a rather slow speed of around 25 miles an hour. That's important because, as we have seen from this very, very soupy atmosphere, the slow storm movements, or even when you have fast storm movements, those storms that were coming through the metro earlier were cranking at around 55, close to 60 miles an hour. You could still get a ridiculous amount of heavy rain from that, and that's what we've been seeing, or that's what we saw here in the Kansas City area proper between roughly 4 and 5:30 or so. This rotation that's down here kind of looks like it's sort of getting a little more stretched out. I do want to caution that for areas north and east of Warsaw, maybe even towards the Coal Camp area, this is a nice little pop of wind that's circulating around the main circulation out through there. So that's a nice little pop of wind coming your way. So regardless of whether it's a tornadic situation, which it was earlier, maybe not anymore, but maybe the winds, the stronger wind gusts, may be coming up towards Coal Camp very shortly. And don't be surprised if you get 50 to 70 mile an hour winds, even if that circulation hopefully passes off towards the west of Coal Camp, likewise hopefully off towards the west of Lincoln. But for you folks in Lincoln and Coal Camp, and okay, so Lincoln and Coal Camp, I want you to go ahead and make sure you take cover from that storm. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning now coming out for the Sedalia area, and that's going to go up until about 8:15. That'll be the storm that's in Benton County moving your way, 60 mile an hour wind gusts, perhaps some penny-sized hail possible for you folks over into Pettis County. That would be towards the east of Greenridge and involving, let's just say, Sedalia. It's kind of cutting Sedalia in half, but you get the idea. So the southeastern quadrant of Pettis County now under a severe thunderstorm warning up until 8:15. This tornado warning for northern Benton County, that's going to continue until 7:45 for Benton County. For the metro itself, you know, a lot of folks have been really sensitive about, you know, the potential of tornadic weather around here, and we kind of dodged that bullet, at least so far, knock on wood, if you will. But with that said, we're still watching this little area off to our west. These storms are definitely popping a little bit more in intensity. You could see more reds starting to show up. That's some pretty heavy rain. Western Shawnee County up through Rock Creek and now coming into the Atchison area, all the way on up into Donovan County. We'll go ahead and take you up there while we have coverage continuing here at Fox 4 for Benton County. New storms developing as well near Savannah. But this one storm that's into the northeastern portion or north central portion of Atchison County over on the Kansas side, that's a pretty nasty little cell, no doubt about that. And let's see what we got going with that. That's going to kind of head up towards Atchison by 7:44. So our times have been varying a little bit, 7:44 to 7:55 for Atchison. Wathena between about around 8:15. Savannah by about 8:40. Maryville, if it holds together, we'll see, probably will, as it goes up into far northwest Missouri. It's due towards you as we head towards about 9/11. Right now, at least for the metro, there's really nothing of immediate concern. And when I say immediate concern, I'm talking perhaps for the next hour or so. Let's keep an eye on how this cell down towards Overbrook and Osage City holds together. It might be weakening just a little bit as it moves up towards Douglas County. And then let's keep an eye on this activity out towards Topeka, which is trending a little bit more towards the east, but it's just crawling and it's producing a lot of heavy rain. Right now, that I-70 corridor out near and west of Topeka, they're getting pelted pretty darn good. If you were taking a big old nap or something this afternoon, this I-35 corridor received anywhere from roughly 2 to 5 inches of rain. Those storms meant business when they came through the Kansas City area just a little while ago. I want to go back over to Jacob. He's got some updated storm report information coming on through. Jacob.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So kind of a storm chaser down in the area has reported the wind gust in the rear flank downdraft. So this would be the wraparound winds. Kind of in this circular motion behind the tornado, around 75 miles per hour. So this was right near Leesville and Tightwad along 7 Highway down in Henry County. So the backside just outside of the tornado and behind it. So that's going to show you even outside of the tornado, there's going to be some damaging winds here as this pushes through now northern Benton County. And also the severe thunderstorm warning has been extended into southern Pettis County now as well. So those are the areas further north. Here along 65 Highway. That's where this new severe thunderstorm warning does include places like Green Ridge, Sedalia, Smithton here, just to the north of Benton County. So here's the latest severe thunderstorm warning there for Pettis County, and that goes until 8:15. So these are kind of the things we're watching here. Joe was talking about those storms back to the west. I wanted to show you our latest hour-by-hour future radar here going through the rest of tonight, and that'll kind of give you a better picture about what these storms might look like. Again, they're slow movers, so even an hour or so from now, they're just going to be knocking on the door of places like Atchison, Leavenworth, and Lawrence, kind of in our western communities. And then as we head towards 9 and 10 p.m., overall, the line is going to weaken because it moves into the area that has already seen severe weather today. Here in the metro, that I-35 corridor that we saw a lot of rain and severe weather with the damaging winds and hail earlier this afternoon. The atmosphere is a little more worked over, and so the line should be weakening as it moves into the metro, so we hope that trend holds. That would be good news for us here in Kansas City. But yeah, during our 9 and 10 o'clock newscast, we're going to be tracking that line of storms as it comes through the metro, whether it's severe or not. So we'll keep an eye on it. And then kind of once we get past midnight, it's just kind of widespread rain, some pockets of downpours, rumbles of thunder, maybe a gusty wind. I think this data overdoing it. And then some showers linger early Tuesday. I think by 9 a.m. tomorrow, though, the light sprinkles are exiting and we kind of clear things out. So the only tornado warning now is down in Benton County, Missouri. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, though, for Pettis County that I showed you until 8:15, and then the one up north, Atchison, Doniphan, and Buchanan counties until 8 o'clock, with the flash flood warnings continuing for the metro and Northland here a little bit longer. I was hoping we could get a view from our storm ranger, but I'm not seeing that quite yet. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Again, our tornado watch continues for another hour and a half or so, too. So we'll be watching that. Oh, there's the FOX4 Jeep. I don't know if we have a location of where they are right now or what storm they're approaching. That's good to know, though, that we've got them out watching the skies. We'll find out where they are and let you know here soon. Joe?
National Weather Service down in Springfield. We're working with several National Weather Service offices. Pleasant Hill's our main one, Topeka's our secondary one, and Springfield handles some of these counties well down to our south, including Benton and St. Clair. My colleagues down at the National Weather Service down in Springfield reporting that they had another tornado detection in western Benton County near C Highway and Palo Avenue. That was just a few minutes ago, probably about 5-ish minutes ago. So something's still going on down there. Aside from that potential, there's all of this. This is our lightning counter. And just in this general area from southeastern Johnson County on the Missouri side all the way down towards Benton County and getting down towards the lakes, we're looking at close to 1,000 lightning strikes. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount in just the last 15 minutes. So this is still quite the storm that's going on down to our south. And again, the whole thing, and you could see it once I pop up radar, you can kind of see how this whole thing, that thing is just spinning. You can kind of make out that whole rotation. It's very broad in nature. But for Benton County, and now we're starting to see this activity get closer to Pettis County, you know, this is still a thing, and that's why we've got that severe thunderstorm warning now for the southeastern portion of Pettis County. The tornado warning continues as well down towards Benton County. We'll see whether or not they upgrade our tornado warning or our severe thunderstorm warning in Pettis County into something a little bit more concerning. But can you see the whole thing? It's almost like a little donut hole just towards the west of the Lincoln area, and that's moving right up towards 65 and maybe right towards the west of 65 towards the south of Green Ridge. So if you know anybody right along Missouri Highway 52, a little concerned about what that looks like. That's a whole little thing that we need to watch. Just towards the north and east of Lincoln. Looks like it's going to pass just towards the west of Coal Camp. I'll stop that real quick. And for the Coal Camp area, about 10 miles maybe, towards the west of Coal Camp as it continues to move off towards the northeast. Again, a large rotating area right in through here. So again, here's 65. Tough to say exactly where, but it's somewhere in there. And again, it's moving towards the north and east at around 30 miles an hour, 25, 30 miles an hour. So my colleagues at the Weather Service in Pleasant Hill are going to have to make a decision here about the Pettis County scenario. They've got a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but there is a possible upgrade coming for at least parts of Pettis County perhaps over the next about 15 minutes. Jacob.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the rotation tracker, Joe, and the good news is here, and again, this does not indicate that the tornado is over, but the good news is that our radar, at least, is looking a little bit less strong when we talk about the strength of the rotation. So it was strong, kind of the light blues or the purples down towards Tightwad and southeastern Henry County down near Warsaw. But now it's these darker blues, and so we have this now non-confirmed tornado warning for Lincoln and Coal Camp. And this is a new tornado warning, and that's going to go until
for Benton County, and that's going to go
8:15.
They have not pushed it into Pettis,
so
but for Benton County, I'm sorry. Storm over Lincoln or close to Lincoln, 12 miles north of Warsaw, moving towards the northeast. They've now sped it up to 45 miles an hour.
Kind of have that more northerly track, and so that's going to put it, if this holds together, timing it out for our friends in Sedalia and people who may be viewing down in parts of Pettis County. That's where we're seeing this approaching Sedalia maybe by 8:15. So I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill decides to issue maybe a tornado warning for the southern half of Pettis County. I don't even think the severe thunderstorm warning has a possible tornado on it, so that's something too. Again, I don't think this is maybe is confirmed or on the ground right now, but it's something that we need to watch as this tracks almost now pretty close to 65 highway. It's still on the west side of 65 heading towards Iona and Manila. Even Manila, you may not be inside the tornado polygon right now, but go ahead and head to your tornado safe place, because this is only going to be about 10 minutes away from the county line from between Benton and Pettis. So that's what we're going to have to watch, and that'll eventually move up towards Sedalia. So we need to keep an eye on that. Just watching the rotation here, it may be cycling again, as we've been kind of talking about. And so as I query some of these wind speeds between Lincoln and Sedalia, just to the north and west of Coal Camp. It's not far, just missing you on the west side. Overall, the mesocyclone still rotating at about 100 miles per hour. These reds are going southeast away from our radar in Pleasant Hill, 55 miles per hour, 45 mile per hour winds in the atmosphere over Iona. And that's that about 100 mile per hour rotation or so. Again, we're still watching here for maybe if there's any debris or anything. Right now on our debris tracker, our correlation coefficient, I'm not seeing anything, because it would be, if there's any debris, it would be right in here. And that all looks about the same color. So that's a good thing. When it's the same color, this kind of maroon or fuchsia red, that means that the radar is seeing everything as raindrops. And so when we start to get these greens correlated with where there's a velocity couplet, that's where there's debris, and that would be a confirmed tornado. And that's what we saw, about half an hour ago down south of Tightwad in Henry County. So tornado warning continues for northern Benton County. We're still waiting to see what's going to happen there in Pettis County. So while we wait, and Joe, while you kind of see what Pleasant Hill may be thinking, I'll kind of show this wider view again as we're still watching severe thunderstorms back to our west here, the Kansas City Metro. A new severe warning for Jefferson County. So again, we're still now probably only 30 minutes away or so from, or maybe up to 45 minutes for severe thunderstorm warning starting to enter Leavenworth County and Lawrence. I've had a lot of questions on social media this evening saying, oh, okay, so the round of storms came through and we're done for the night. That's not the case. We've been saying that there would be a second round between 7 and 11 p.m. Kind of more of a line of gusty winds, and that's what we're seeing move towards the Kansas City Metro. So we are not done with storms. Hopefully this doesn't add or exacerbate our flooding concerns that we've seen across the Kansas City Metro. I'll see if I can update a track on the timing of this. It's still moving relatively slow, especially south of Topeka, maybe putting it in Ottawa by 9:15, 9:30, so about an hour and a half. We'll watch that. And again, we're still watching that lone storm down near Osage City, although I'll zoom in and just show you. There's not a lot of rotation in this, so that's good news. So this is the storm that's by itself, and we want to keep an eye on any storms that are alone or discrete. And right now there is not much rotation at all with this, so that's a good thing for us, at least on the Kansas side. Joe, do you have an update on that storm down in?
Yeah, so far nothing additional on that storm down in Springfield. However, I will tell you that for you folks over towards Jefferson County, some of these storms may have the ability of producing 55, close to 60-mile-an-hour winds. So for Jefferson County, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, I believe. Yeah, for Jefferson, Douglas, Jackson, Shawnee, severe thunderstorm warning has just recently been issued. This is going to go until about 8:15 or so, with these storms that are moving east at around 45 miles an hour. Hail, gusty winds, the main threat, although the hail isn't overly, at least right now, not showing anything overly large, probably close to nickel to perhaps upwards of quarter size, perhaps just towards the low end of any severe weather criteria. My colleagues down at the National Weather Service in Springfield say, let's see, I'm just checking to make sure, estimating winds near Lincoln in Benton County, 75 miles an hour. That's from a storm chaser from our colleagues over in Columbia. They're down in the Benton County area, so Lincoln right now, estimated winds in Benton County close to 75 miles an hour. So those storms down to our south do mean business. The storms that are a little bit closer to our coverage area, northwest Missouri, these are blowing up pretty good now, from Andrew County down into Atchison County, down into Jefferson County. You could just see it's right along the Kaw there in far northern Douglas County. That warning, just a sliver of Douglas County under that severe thunderstorm warning. But for the storms that are in northeastern Kansas, and these storms are kind of coming into an area that hasn't been really messed up by previous thunderstorms. So these are moving towards St. Joe, should be arriving here very, very shortly. Stanberry by about 8:35, Clarksdale by about 9:24, and maybe eventually up towards Bethany by about 9:51. That concerns this activity that has been blossoming and moving through the northeastern portion of Kansas. For our area a little bit closer into the metro, again, we had round one. Now let's see about how round two holds together and moves on through. Of course, we don't want any more flooding with this, but these storms are not in a big hurry right now. So when you pick up 2 to 5 inches of rain like what we saw just a few hours ago, it doesn't take much to create more flooding. So let's be on the lookout for that as we get through the 9 and 10 o'clock hour. And we'll be here on Fox 4 just to kind of give you updates on that. The newest severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued for Buchanan, Holt, Atchison, Platte, Doniphan, and Andrew County in northwest Missouri. This is going to go up until about 8:30. Storms moving towards the northeast at around 30 miles an hour. Lower end severe thunderstorm warning. The hail doesn't seem to be as big of a deal right now. However, the winds may still be gusting with some of these storms upwards of 60 miles an hour. There's that new warning that Jacob, I think, is going to show us here in just a second. Just quickly take you down into, boy, look at that thing. It almost looks like a little hurricane, doesn't it?
There's almost an eye to it.
Yeah, look
and
at
when
that.
I see that, Joe, that
amazing?
means it's trying to produce a tornado.
So this area, you know, right along 65 Highway, if you know anybody along 65 Highway, southern portions of Pettis County, they're under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but it may not take much. I mean, look at that. I mean, it really does look like a little small inland hurricane, if you will. It's obviously, you know, severe, that's for sure. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we did get a report a little while ago of 75-mile-an-hour winds in Lincoln. So just very, very impressive and dramatic radar presentation. I'm not seeing the super duper tight couplet that we look for. Everything looks kind of spread out in terms of these wind velocities right now. But, you know, as we just showed you a little while ago, there's a whole donut hole in there. So we always get a little bit more worked up when we see something like that. And sure enough, look at this. Brand new tornado warning now for southeastern portions of Pettis County. That looks like it probably, let's just say it includes Sedalia, over towards near the Otterville area. This whole general area now in southeastern portions of Pettis County now under a tornado warning. That just got issued, and that
8:15.
goes until
Oh,
8:15. Thank you, Alex. Let's see. It's capable of producing a tornado 8 miles northwest of Cole Camp, about 10 miles east of Windsor, moving northeast at around 30 miles an hour. It's a radar indicated scenario, so don't have anything officially on the ground. But like we've been telling you, that thing looks like it wants to do something. So for you folks in this general area, and I'll put a storm track on here for you in just a second, want you to go ahead and take cover, get into your safe spot, if you will, so you get away and you're protected by this tornado or potential tornado that's moving your way. I'm going to accelerate the storm movement just a little bit, and this thing will be kind of doing something like that. And just for safety, if you live down here towards Smithton, by about 8:19, Beeman by about 8:25, Otterville 8:27, Clifton City 8:30. Want you to be in your safe spots. Sedalia, I think this will pass just towards your south and east. However, just be on the safe side. If you're hearing the sirens right now in Sedalia, that's the reason why, with that circulation that's approaching the county line right now between Benton and Pettis. So there's the circulation down through here, and it looks like it's moving off towards the north and east at around 30, close to 40 miles an hour. Jacob.
yeah, Joe, so kind of getting these new radar scans, it's really now crossing the county line into southern Pettis County. And I wanted to zoom you in. So again, this is the new tornado warning that goes until 8:15. The southeast side of Sedalia is included in this. So especially if you live south of 50 Highway, east of 65 Highway in Pettis County, you're included in this tornado warning. Manila, Spring Fork, Bonner, and Smithton also included in the polygon. I want to go down to the street level, though, and kind of show you where the couplet is tightest. And it's right here along Highway ZZ and 52 Highway in southern Pettis County, right near Manila. If there's a tornado, this is where it would be, and it's going to be near Highway V and 65 Highway, right along the Spring Fork community in the next 5 minutes. So this is moving north at about 30 miles per hour. The National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill has extended this tornado warning further up towards the north, and we're watching this. It's still kind of a weaker couplet, I would say, and there's kind of some muddling. It was interesting. I was looking at the here because this is more further away from some of the radar sites. I was trying to compare from Pleasant Hill versus down towards Springfield. So this is how it looks from the radar in Pleasant Hill. We get that little couplet north of Iona, there near Manila, right where I was showing you. And then when we look from Springfield down south, we get the more broad rotating view that is just west of 65 Highway there on the county line. So it's interesting because this is higher up in the atmosphere with the radar beams, higher up in the storm, the further away you get. And so that's something that we can look at from different sites to help us confirm rotation there. Not seeing any confirmed debris, so that's good news. I've been looking for that closely here on debris detector. There's one little spot right there near Iona, and I don't know if that correlates with a 1 or 2 old scan of the reflectivity, but that's something, I just don't think that's debris. It's something interesting for sure that we want to keep an eye on down there towards the south. So what's interesting here too is when we look at the environment. So the blue here is where there's some capping, but down here in Pettis and Benton County, there is no cap. And so these storms are really being able to tap into the more stronger winds higher up in the atmosphere and probably rotating the updraft much easier than these storms that are trying to punch through a lid in the atmosphere, essentially from St. Joe back towards Topeka, Emporia. So again, with this line back to our west in Kansas, because there's more of a capping inversion in the atmosphere, less instability in the low levels, I think our severe wind is going to be the primary threat. But out here, we're kind of in uncharted waters, at least, with untapped storm and tornadic potential down south of Sedalia, which is why I'm not surprised that we're seeing kind of a tornado situation evolve down there. We're also seeing the low-level jet stream kick in across central and southern Missouri, and so that's kind of aiding, and some of these storms maybe getting a kick here now as we approach sunset. So something that we're watching for sure. Joe, do you have an update?
Yeah, I do. This is actually sort of interesting for areas into eastern Johnson County over on the Missouri side. Got a report just south of Whiteman Air Force Base, and the report's about 15 minutes old. And notice, they had a thunderstorm come through, but it didn't look overly dramatic. Well, it was. 2 miles south of the Air Force Base, they reported 80-mile-an-hour winds. So it just kind of shows you, I want you folks up in the Lamont area, Hughesville, this little area that produced the 80-mile-an-hour winds, that's significant, is moving towards Lamont and Hughesville. So that thing may still be producing quite a bit of strong wind as it moves through the western portion of Pettis County. And that area is not under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. The area that's further south, the one that's under the tornado warning into southeastern portions of Pettis County, I've noticed in the last few minutes that perhaps this circulation might be moving a little bit more east-northeast as opposed to towards the north and east. So I'm going to adjust, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to adjust my storm track on this just a little bit and maybe take it somewhere along that line, assuming that's our little circulation. So again, that's going to be heading towards Boehner, Florence, Otterville, and Syracuse, which is quasi out of our viewing area, but it's a very broad rotation, at least at this point. So again, still roughly sort of close to the county line of Pettis and Benton and moving generally off towards the southeast. So it does look like now, Sedalia, you might get some strong winds, can't rule out 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds, if not maybe more than that. But it looks like the tornadic circulation will pass either off towards your east or towards your south and east. I want you to stay, just to be on the safe side, if you're hearing those sirens, I want you to stay in your safe spot for just a little while longer, maybe another 15 minutes or so, until we see whether or not this thing decides it wants to wrap up or hopefully dissipate as it moves towards the northeast through the far southeastern portion of Pettis County. For those of you who are just joining us, I wanted to kind of bring Kansas City into a little bit more of a perspective here for you on this stuff, just to kind of point out that we're watching this activity that's moving through Kansas, and you kind of see how this stuff is starting to come together pretty well. Now, there are severe thunderstorm warnings for Jefferson, Atchison, northwestern Platte, Buchanan, even southern and southwestern portions of Andrew County. Right now, this does not concern Kansas City, but you could definitely tell the storms are starting to rebubble in advance of that line as it pushes out towards the state line. So these storms are more than likely going to make it into the metro. They're not moving very quickly, and they are going to produce conceivably another 1 to 2 inches of rain. So please be cautious as you're perhaps thinking about getting out and about over the next couple of hours. Once this rain moves in, it's going to come down and come down like crazy for a while for those areas that are most impacted by that. That includes St. Joe, that includes Leavenworth, that includes Baser. Eventually it's going to move into the Lawrence area. You got some storms around you right now. It'll take its sweet time, but Baldwin City, you'll be involved in this as well, and maybe eventually Ottawa, but that's going to be more connected to the activity that you see off towards the west of the Emporia area. So if you're needing to take the dog out for a quick walk and you live within 435, you may want to do that right now and just kind of wait for these storms to move on through. Sort of kind of some interesting radar echoes showing up towards the south of Topeka. But again, this area has not been overly affected by thunderstorms during the late afternoon. It seemed like most of the worst of the weather was basically right along I-35. So that's an area that still has some instability starting to kind of go into motion. And as a result, we're keeping an eye out for that potential of some stronger thunderstorms and certainly some heavier rain. I'll go ahead and just kind of get you right into the metro on this, just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on with these storms as they come on through. Again, heavy rains, the main calling card. The potential is there for some stronger winds. Have not really seen much in the way of hail from any of this activity, but you folks around Lansing, Baser, Tongi, along K16, over towards Oskaloosa, getting some pretty good storms right now. This extends just towards the north of DeSoto, and right now the worst seems to be just towards the north of the Lawrence area. So some pretty strong thunderstorms down there. Jacob.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So again, we continue to watch the tornado warning down in Pettis County. That continues for the next 13 minutes until 8:15. And then the thunderstorm warnings now are starting to roll in on the Kansas side. Douglas and Jefferson until 8:15, Atchison until 8:30, and we're going to see that probably coming to the metro here shortly. The flash flood warnings continuing as well for the metro and also areas north of the Missouri River. So we're kind of watching this continue to unfold. And what's happening now is that the cold front is starting to catch up with the dry line, and we're starting to see the storms that have been pretty stagnant over Kansas the last couple of hours. They're going to start to move now, and they're going to start to head in the direction of the Kansas City metro. So that's kind of what we're seeing evolve right now. So this dry line is now near Topeka, the cold front pushing it in as well. And the cold front is kind of like the final push from the storm system. Okay, let's get these storms moving. And that's what we're starting to see now as they start to drift towards the Kansas and Missouri state line. Still some tornadic activity to our south where the tornado environment is a little bit more favorable. Confirmed tornado still near Fort Smith, Arkansas, and also a tornado warning up near Fayetteville as well. So northwest Arkansas, 2 confirmed tornado warnings there. We have our set of tornado warnings down towards the lakes, down towards Sedalia, and we'll see if this rotation holds on. Again, round 2 starting to move now as this tornado risk continues off here towards the south and east. So we're still seeing this rotation. I'm not seeing the eye, if you will, that almost looks like a little hurricane on radar. So it's almost weakening a little bit, which is good news as it moves up towards Sedalia and Otterville. So as this crosses north of 50 highway, it's moving away from the most favorable wind shear and instability, which is further south. The further north this gets, there's less ingredients, less favorable ingredients. So hopefully that'll continue to weaken as it moves up towards the north. Still, there is a weak couplet here, and it's right where these greens and reds are very close together. Up towards Smithton. This is about maybe 10 miles southwest of Smithton, and this storm now moving up towards the north at about 30 miles per hour. So I will do another storm track on this for you as this moves through the southeastern quadrant here of Pettis County. Here's the latest track, and we'll see the ETA there towards Smithton, 822, Otterville, 832, Clifton City, 835. This is probably going to miss Sedalia, which is good news. If there's a tornado on the ground, it's going to be more in the Smithton area. If you live near Sedalia or just south and east of Sedalia, you should still be in your tornado safe place as long as this tornado warning continues here for about the next 10 minutes. So this is the tornado warning polygon stretching from Manila up towards Sedalia, Smithton, and then we'll see if it's extended further north and east as we go over the next little bit here. It looks like a severe thunderstorm warning downstream for now. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning as well out towards the west side of the metro, Leavenworth, Platte, Wyandotte, and Johnson County included in that. And that's as these storms really start to move. We're going to see this push into the metro here over the next 2 hours. So we'll go query that severe thunderstorm warning out there, and that's where we're seeing this go until let's see, 8:45 for Johnson, Leavenworth, Platte, and Wyandotte County, mainly for damaging winds. I think as this line comes through, Joe, I think this is more of a wind threat than a hail threat.
Yeah, so they've issued a base severe thunderstorm warning for this. Maybe 1-inch hail, although I haven't seen really any hail reports, and 60-mile-an-hour winds, as Jacob mentioned. So I'm updating the storm track now on this since we're starting to see a little surge more towards the east as opposed towards the north and east. So these storms are definitely going to make it into more of Kansas City over the next about hour to hour and a half. The main line is right in through there, but you could tell there are some little appetizers just ahead of that main line. So the line is starting to surge off towards the east. So that's heading towards Lecompton, the main part of this, by about 8:06, Leavenworth by about 8:20, Lawrence by about 8:30, Bonner Springs close to 9, and it'll be within the heart of Kansas City, roughly between 9 and 9:30 or so. It may start to accelerate even a little bit more as it gets closer into the metro. The only thing I'm wondering about as I kind of think about things is it is coming into an area that got worked over from the thunderstorms earlier this afternoon or during the latter part of the afternoon. So let's see how well these things hold together, but no doubt they might still be able to produce some 60-mile-an-hour winds and some real heavy rain. Again, this stuff is really producing some copious amounts of rain as they get a little bit closer into the Kansas City area. As a matter of fact, I think I want to show you that. See how these storms are doing with the rain situation. So here was the initial push of the heavy rain. Here's round 2, which is moving our way. And, you know, there's some areas in here that over towards Silver Lake, west of Topeka, that have picked up, you know, well over 3 inches of rain in some cases, up towards Valley Falls, close to 2 inches of rain. Up towards Atchison County, there's 1 to 2 inches of rain. So something like this could be coming into the metro here over the next several hours. So during our news tonight at 9 and 10, we're going to have quite a bit of thunderstorm weather and quite a bit of heavy rain rumbling through the area. So if your basement is prone to flooding, just kind of, you know, make sure you check on it to make sure everything is going okay. Hopefully you're not having any flooding issues. Earlier this afternoon, after about 3 or 4 o'clock, this was an I-35 special, and man, that rain came down hard and fast with 2 to 5 inches of rain in this general swath from near Gardner right into downtown, and then all the way on up towards western portions of Caldwell County, right along I-35. And there were some decent-sized hail reports and some pretty good wind reports. We had some 75-mile-an-hour winds reported earlier today down towards Olathe Executive Airport. Downtown Airport had a little damage. Some of the corporate jets down there got messed up just a little bit. They were reporting 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds at the downtown airport. Up towards KCI, they had 62-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So storms meant business during the mid to late part of the afternoon. And of course, they all came right during the evening rush hour, which turned into a mess. Flooded roads, just a bad situation as we went through the evening rush hour for Kansas City. The roads have gotten better, but here comes round number 2. And again, this stuff means some pretty good business from a rain standpoint. Let's take you back down into Pettis County.
Joe, I do have an update down north of Lincoln, about 1 mile on 65 highway. I've seen some unconfirmed pictures of what looks to me like tornado damage. So I think that was from the confirmed tornado that we had down in southeastern Henry and northern Benton County. It may have been on the ground for several miles. There's some debris possibly right along 65 highway just north of Lincoln. So that's something that we're going to have to look into. Hopefully maybe our newsroom is going to work on confirming if there's any damage down there in northern Benton County. Again, looking at the storm now, it almost has weakened a little bit now as it moves up closer to Sedalia. Still, though, we're watching the rotation because it's still there and this tornado warning continues, although I will say it is much more broad. And when you look at our rotation product here on FOX4 radar, it's really staying on the lower end. So where I think it may have tracked if there was a tornado was probably from the Lowry City area here through south of Leesville and maybe lifted just north of Lincoln. So if there was a tornado, we knew it was on the ground actually because we got debris near Leesville on radar about 45 minutes ago. And the debris may have tracked all the way up towards near Cole Camp, about 1 or 2 miles north of Lincoln. So that's where we know we had a tornado on the ground earlier this evening. Now that may have lifted as this moves up towards the north. Although I will look here at our debris signature, and that is close to the couplet there, south of Smithton. It seems a little far southeast in my opinion, Joe, but I don't know. I'm not quite correlated with the velocity,
no,
but
it seems connected to me.
Yeah, I think the velocity or the couplet would be a little closer to Smithton to me.
There might be a little something there. Yeah, there's a little something there, far southeastern Pettis County.
This kind of yellow blotch right there. And again, I think north of Lincoln, we had some tornado damage there on 65 highway. So this would actually track if there's a tornado, because we're looking up into the storm. So the rotation is actually going to be offset from this mid-level mesocyclone. So the tornado at the ground, so the mid-level mesocyclone is, say, here. But then the tornado at the ground could be south of that a little bit because these storms are tilted with the mid-level jet stream coming out of the south-southwest. That means the low-level circulation would be south of the mid-level circulation. So that may be a tornado debris signature, Joe, down in Pettis County.
Yeah, I think we've got one. This is going to be just towards the south of Smithton, right in there. So here's Smithton. there's Sedalia, so this is well southeast of Sedalia, but that's probably something being wafted up, and that's a pretty good forested area down there in southeastern portions of Pettis County. I want you folks towards the Otterville area, just be prepared to take cover if you need to and get into your safe spot. Right now you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like it's going to pass towards the south, the tornadic circulation, south of Smithton by about 4, 5, 6 miles or so, but there's something definitely going on down there towards the south of Smithton. We'll zoom in, and now it's kind of broken up a little bit more. But just to be on the safe side, if you live near Highway M, southeastern portions of Pettis County, here's the county line. So there's the county line. So this general area might have some stuff going on. So this would be near Boehner. My concern is that that little circulation or that little drop of radar echoes near Boehner, I'm worried about that. Worried about the Boehner folks because that thing really kind of started to show up once it got past Boehner, and that's always a little worry to me. So hopefully you folks in Boehner are okay. Let me know if you can. But here's Highway M, Missouri Highway M. Here's the county line. And I think there was, at least briefly, something on the ground perhaps down across the southeastern portion of Pettis County. Alex, can you have them upstairs check with Pettis County Sheriff about Boehner? Because I didn't like the way that popped up all of a sudden once it got past Boehner. So the whole circulation itself, far southeastern portions of Pettis County, it just kind of looks discombobulated, but there was definitely, I think, something on the ground very briefly there. Here's Smithton. I want you folks in Smithton, take cover. That's still, maybe it possibly reorganized all of a sudden near and north of Boehner. But, you folks in Smithton, go ahead and take cover from this. Just if you aren't already, if the sirens haven't gotten you down, if you have sirens in Smithton, just go ahead and take cover from that just to be on the safe side. A little thing right there kind of bothers me a little bit. Smithton, Otterville, up towards Clifton City. Again, this is far eastern portions of Pettis County, about ready to cross over into Cooper County. But this general US 50 corridor area east of Sedalia, I think we're pretty confident in saying that whatever's going on with any circulation is east of Sedalia, although probably Sedalia it's raining but good, and maybe you're getting some of those 50, 60 plus mile an hour winds. But again, near and north of Boehner, all the way on up towards Smithton, just a little concerning. Jacob, can you confirm anything there?
No,
Okay.
I can't, and I don't know. It's hard to tell because it's really far away from the radar, and I don't know. We're gonna have to see if there's any damage down there. I don't see anything now on the debris detector, so that's good news as it moves up towards Otterville. And again, this thing has been cycling for a while. Now we're at 8:15, so the tornado warning's gone as this continues to track up towards the north. So tornado warning is gone there. We'll see if that, it could be headed into Cooper County. There's still some rotation there. Overall, it's weaker. So I do want to bring it back a little bit closer to the metro here for another update, maybe before we take a quick break before our 9 o'clock newscast. Is this severe thunderstorm warning out on the west side. So Johnson, Leavenworth, Platte, and Wyandotte County, we're starting to see these damaging winds move through. So this includes places like Bonner Springs, Tonganoxie, Leavenworth, KCI Airport. Some gusty winds in here, and I actually did want to turn on our wind mode, not for rotation, but for the straight line winds out here to our west, and zoom in and kind of show you what we could be seeing. Some of the strongest winds right now near Oskaloosa. And so I'll query these. Around 60 miles per hour here up in the atmosphere, maybe one or two stronger couplets down there. So that's what we're watching, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds as this approaches Leavenworth County here pretty shortly. So we'll watch that closely as well. I also can turn on our radar from the MCI airport and see if there's anything. And almost, it's interesting, this leading edge of storms, and I want to see, it looks like we're actually going to get this extended downstream maybe. I want to see the storm speed on this, which right now is 40 miles per hour, and put a little track on this. And we can almost see the line of winds here from Leavenworth down to Lawrence as this tracks east. There's an ETA for us for these strongest winds. 8:30 in Basehor, Waldron 8:36, Bonner Springs 8:42, Parkville just before 9 o'clock, Lake Quivira around 9 o'clock as well. So it seems to me slightly fast, but still this is picking up speed. The cold front's moving now, and so we're seeing these strong winds stretching from Leavenworth back towards Lawrence as this severe thunderstorm warning continues. And if this maintains its strength, we could see that warning extended through the rest of the Kansas City metro. It's interesting, Joe, also that there's a tornado possible tag on that severe thunderstorm warning now. Just want to point that out. From DeSoto up to Farrellview back to Leavenworth. Yeah, there is. We have got the red outline here on this severe warning polygon. So we'll have to watch for any rotation. I don't see a lot, but there's a couple of little nooks and crannies in there that we watch. And that's what we said. This evening line of storms may have a brief spin up. We're not expecting strong or long track tornadoes from this. It's mainly a wind event. And the straight line winds can do just as much damage as any brief spin up too. So there's also now a tornado possible tag. When we say tornado possible, it means that it's a severe thunderstorm warning, but the National Weather Service says there might be a brief tornado. And that's when we get these red outline and the severe thunderstorm warning. That is now up for this St. Joe and Atchison warning as well. So things that we need to look at here. On radar. On velocity, not really seeing much, Joe, to be concerned about, but we'll have to keep an eye on it.
So to my knowledge right now, we are done with our tornado warnings.
Right, yeah, we are good, okay. So we can take a break.
So we have severe thunderstorm warnings, so just a heads up for our folks in the back. We're going to send it back to programming here in just a second. Here's the leading edge, stretching from St. Joe down towards Lawrence. It's going to move into the metro. Watch out for flooding rains, the potential of 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, maybe some small-ish hail. Don't be surprised if we get more severe thunderstorm warnings for more of the metro. But from a timing standpoint, Smithville just before 9, Gladstone 9 to 9:15, Casey Mo around 9:15, give or take, Richmond around 10:04, and Chillicothe, if it holds together, probably will, right around 10:08. All right, so since we're done with our tornado warnings, that coverage is going to stop right now. We'll send it back to Fox programming, and on the assumption that there are no additional tornado warnings, we'll see you again on Fox 4 News tonight at 9 o'clock. 2 new tornado warnings just coming out within the last few minutes. This includes the city of St. Joseph up here towards Buchanan County. Also includes the far northern reaches of Platte County, including Camden Point and Dearborn. The area that we're concerned about right along the leading edge of these thunderstorms as they come on through. Now, this is something that's a little bit more typical as we get into the nighttime hours around this part of the country. We've been through this quite a few times where right along the leading edge you can get some little spin-ups. They're radar indicated and not necessarily anything actually coming down at this point, but there are some concerns in some of the radar data, and as a result, again, for you folks up towards St. Joe, if you're watching us on our streaming channel, WDAF+, you're getting some information here about your tornado warning sirens, no doubt going off in St. Joe, perhaps in Agency, Easton. This is just to your west. The concern is that probably a little notch right there. And then once we get a little further south down towards Camden Point into the northern reaches of Platte County, that's also another little area of concern. So 2 separate tornado warnings right now that are in effect. And I'm just going to do a broad little swath of storm tracking here for you. So for you folks towards the Agency area, heading your way by about 8:32, want you in your safe spot. Easton, 8:40, want you in your safe spot. Clarksdale, 8:50, Stewartsville by about 8:50 as well. This is right along the leading edge. I'm going to have Jacob track the storms in northwestern Platte or northern Platte County here in just a second. Basically from roughly Fawcett to St. Joe, this is 36 Highway right there, so near and just south of 36 Highway. That's the main area of concern right now, with the possibility of these little leading edge spin up tornadoes that are a little bit more common once we get into the overnight hours around this part of the country. And that's why we've got a couple of tornado warnings that are in effect. Again, this one is for Buchanan County, and that's going to go up until 9 o'clock. A little closer to home, we've got another tornado warning in northern Platte County. Let's get over to Jacob with more information on that. Jacob.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So again, 2 tornado warnings up Interstate 29 here just north of the Kansas City Metro. And this is the one that's for Platte County. So it's for Camden Point, just north of the Kansas City International Airport. This also goes until 9 o'clock. So Dearborn, Edgerton included in this. We're watching for the quick spin up rotations here. So they may not last very long, but they're going to do some brief touchdowns, maybe some brief damage, and then lift back up. This is what we call a QLCS. It's almost a linear line of damaging winds, but there's some little quirks in here where we get some rotation. So I want to actually switch over to our MCI airport. This is a terminal Doppler radar up in Platte County. We have a Platte County radar, and this is just 2 miles from where the circulation is. And to me, it's very easy to spot where the likely tornado is. It's on 371 highway at County Road E. So we're talking just south of Newmarket and Dearborn and just towards the northwest of Camden Point. So I'm going to put a storm track on this. The storm is moving at 30 miles per hour right now. And so as we track this out here over the next, say, 30 minutes in ETA into Edgerton at 8:52, eventually, if this holds together, it would track towards 169, probably between Grayson and Trimble, just north of Smithville. So we're watching this circulation. I also do just want to keep an eye. There's a lot of little kinks in the line, and there's another one that is just south of there between Camden Point and Platte City, almost just north of the airport. And so this is another area that we need to watch, in my opinion. This is where there could be a brief spin up right along 371 at 92, so just north of Platte City. If you live on the north side of Platte City, kind of one exit up on the highway, there's some weak rotation there about to cross Interstate 29 as well. So I want to look at our StormNet Metro View forecasting tornado potential here. And it's kind of sniffing out these severe thunderstorm warnings for that potential here over the next couple of minutes. And that's what we're going to have to keep an eye on. We do still have the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible in this all the way from Wyandotte County to Platte and Leavenworth County. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:45, and it's tracking off towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. So we're still watching these 2 tornado warnings. Joe, do we have anything in chat or from our partners at the National Weather Service?
Yeah, so far no, but I do want to show you kind of something that you were just showing us for northern Platte County. I want to take you up towards St. Joe. Sirens are sounding in St. Joe, and technically that tornado warning, the edge of it, is on the southeast side of St. Joseph, but the circulation itself is going to pass just towards the south of St. Joe and probably near and just towards the north of Agency. So right in through here, that's the area of concern that we've got as it moves off towards the north and east. So a storm track on this for you. You folks in Easton want you in your safe spot. It's 8:35 now. That's heading your way by about 8:45, so you got about 10 minutes to get into your safe spot. Clarksdale by about 9 o'clock, just shy of there. Stewartsville by about 8:55. And again, this is data coming from KCI, the terminal Doppler radar up on the north side of the metro. But there's clearly something going on right in through there, and that's moving off towards the east, northeast, give or take, at close to 30, maybe close to 40 miles an hour. So again, for you folks up towards Buchanan County, for those of you who may not be familiar with our streaming channel, if you're having a tough time picking us up over the air or on cable, you may go ahead and pop us up on your streaming channel, available for smart TVs at WDAF Plus, and you can watch us anywhere in the country, and that includes our friends up towards northern Missouri if you want to go ahead and watch Fox 4 up towards northern Missouri. So if you know people up there, they used to be big Fox 4 viewers, and then they couldn't get us on their satellite or cable system, send them a little text saying, hey, you could watch on WDAF Plus on their smart TVs, because this storm is definitely affecting Buchanan County. This would be roughly right along 36 Highway, right in through there, Missouri Highway 6 right there. So it's going to pass at least towards the south and east of St. Joe, but if you live along Highway 36 into Buchanan County, east of St. Joseph, I want you to go ahead and take cover from this storm, or prepare to go ahead and take cover from the storm as it continues to move off towards the east-northeast. Now, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea here, this is about 4 miles or so towards the south and east of St. Joseph. So it's passing south and east of St. Joe, right in through there, maybe about 5 miles south and east of St. Joe. lightning, thunder, and potentially perhaps a tornado. Definitely a circulation there that we're watching as it continues to move off through the northeastern portion of Buchanan County. Just a heads up for you folks in DeKalb County, all right, and northeastern portions of Buchanan County, not under a tornado warning at this point, but with the way that circulation looks, unless it falls apart quickly in the next 15 minutes or so, you may get a tornado warning coming out, what we refer to as downstream in advance of the current tornado warning into northeastern Buchanan County and the southwestern portions of DeKalb County. Here's Clarksdale. Again, that's an area that needs to watch this. Here's Easton, another one that needs to watch this. Here's St. Joe. So this is going to pass south and east of St. Joe, near, very close to Agency. If you live in Agency, to be on the safe side, I want you in your safe spot for about another 15 minutes, maybe not even that long. And then that storm will continue to move into the northeast portion of Buchanan County. Let's go a little further south, check in with the storm that's in northern Platte County. Jacob.
Again, we're tracking 2 tornado warnings, and in all honesty, Joe, I think the strength of the couplet is stronger on the storm you're watching there up in Buchanan County. It's a little bit weaker, and I'll show you why that is here in just a moment. So we are tracking these 2 tornado warnings. We still have a significant severe thunderstorm warning for the west side of the metro, Atchison, Johnson, Leavenworth, Wyandotte, Platte until 8:45. That'll be extended here shortly as it moves into the heart of the 435 loop. And then also up towards the north as the flash flooding threat continues as well across the Kansas City metro. So we continue to track tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings around the metro as our severe weather threat unfolds here. And it looks like we're going to continue to watch the severe thunderstorms move into the metro. So I want to show you the time frame for these storms that are going to track across the entire metro. This is the line. We're watching the 2 tornado warnings up in the Northland, up I-29. In Platte and Buchanan counties, but now a new severe thunderstorm warning has been extended a little closer to downtown Kansas City. Here's the ETA for this line of damaging winds. This is going to be in KCK at 9:05, downtown Kansas City at 9:10, Independence at 9:20, Lee Summit 9:35, and Grain Valley at 9:45. So for the next hour, this line of damaging winds, 60 miles per hour, is going to push across the Kansas City metro. So I do want to show the new severe thunderstorm warning here. This is for parts of now more of KCK, downtown, North Kansas City proper. Let's see if it'll let me query this. Maybe not. So we'll go up north here to this tornado warning. And what I was mentioning here is that the northern tornado warning to me looks a little bit stronger because there's this bowing feature. And we're starting to see what typically happens when we get this bow is we get damaging winds in the middle of it. So I would not be surprised. Plattsburgh here in about 15 minutes, strong damaging winds going to move through. And then on the top and bottom of this bow is where we can get little curlicues, and that's where we can get tornadoes. So a tornado likely up towards St. Joe there, that's 36 Highway and I-29. And then also on the south end, we need to watch also a little bit closer to the airport. So I'll zoom in here. Again, these 2 couplets. I'm watching this southern couplet even outside of the tornado warning, maybe for a little bit stronger rotation further towards the south. So it looks like the Platte County warning may have actually just been dropped. So it's canceled, yeah. So that's good news because it's a little weaker. I still think that we need to watch this area just north of 92 Highway. Just something to watch. There's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect with a tornado possible, and this could approach Trimble, Smithville Lake in the next 15 minutes. So that's something we need to watch. So now just the lone 1 tornado warning further up towards the north, and that's for this couplet near St. Joe. Also, I'm seeing a couplet that does not have a warning right now between Agency and Gower. Just kind of a little bit of a light up there. So this is what we're going to have to watch. Unfortunately, this is going to be kind of a QLCS. There's a couplet and 1 radar scan. The next one, it vanishes. And so it's kind of these touch and go things, Joe. I think we might have to watch this. As long as this bow holds together, we might be kind of dealing with this for a little bit.
Yeah, so the storms are definitely active in terms of their strength. Whether or not they could actually produce a tornado, we'll see. But as Jacob mentioned, the cell that's up there in Buchanan County seems to have the best looking radar returns coming from our terminal Doppler up at KCI. It's about 5-6 miles or so towards the south and east of St. Joe, right in through there. It's moving off towards maybe a little bit more east than it did about 20 minutes ago. So I've adjusted the storm track just a little further off towards the east. You folks in Easton, again, you're not in that tornado warning right now. Typically when they issue these warnings, they don't issue them for a long amount of time, which I'm very appreciative of, so that, you know, this way we're not over-warning people, making people get into their safe spot for no reason. But with that said, I want you folks in Easton to be ready, just in case a tornado warning comes for you over the next about 15 minutes or so. Just got a report, and this is from earlier with that tornado warning down towards Henry County, that down towards the Leesville, Tightwad area, they're checking for trees on houses and cars from some of the damage from that storm that came out of Benton County that we were on the air for just about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes ago. So again, at least right now, the most concerning storm is this one just towards the south and east of St. Joseph. So
Joe, we do have a view of that storm if we want to take a look at that.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
I think this is from our Storm Ranger. And so we are, I think we are near St. Joe or just south of St. Joe. Oh, excuse me. So we're in KCK looking north into the storm, and you can almost see up towards the north, just on the right side of the screen where you're getting some of the blue, kind of the light coming through. That's maybe where there's some rotation up towards the north and a lowering off to the left side of your screen. So we're going to continue to watch this storm and track these brief spin-ups up in the Northland. And our Storm Ranger is going to kind of head in that direction and get a closer view too. It is interesting, Joe, and I really think I want to emphasize this. There's a couplet approaching Gower that does not have a tornado warning, but there's a really bright little signature that to me looks like a little QLCS spin up. So I just want to let you know, if you're in Gower, that community, go ahead and just seek your tornado precautions right now. There's not a tornado warning specifically for you, but there's a little couplet. And even now, it's maybe vanishing a little bit, but it's just these quick spin-ups that I just want to warn you about, because it's almost like playing whack-a-mole. Every single spin-up in a QLCS environment like this may not get a tornado warning because it may only last one radar scan. So it's just something that we're going to be keeping an eye on, and that's why we're here, the Fox 4 weather team. We're radar, we're severe weather experts. We look at this all day. We study this. And so that's why we're here to kind of interpret this data for you and tell you where the worst storms may be. And right now, it's that storm up in Buchanan County. Easton would be next, Joe. I think we'll see if they extend the warning downstream for that. It's kind of this north end of the Boeing segment.
And as far as the storm timing for the Easton area, again, 8:50. Now, you are technically not under that tornado warning. That is still to your west. As a matter of fact, it's, it would be probably about 5 miles towards your west-southwest of Easton. So while you're not in that tornado warning at this point, I want you to be prepared to go ahead and take cover if you need to get down towards the basement. Here's Highway 6. Here's St. Joe. This is passing off towards the east-southeast of St. Joe. Highway 6, Highway 36. So this is going to get very close to that Highway 36 corridor. It looks to be a rather broad rotation at this point, but we continue to have that tornado warning for Buchanan County, and again, that's going to go for about another 14 minutes up until about the 9 o'clock hour. I wanted to broaden out our view just a little bit because we certainly have some bigger time thunderstorms coming on through. If you are joining us because you heard the sirens going off up in northern Platte County, that tornado warning has been already quickly canceled, which is always great news. So for northern Platte County, if you were under that tornado warning about 10, 15 minutes ago, that's already been dropped. It's been replaced, though, by a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for north central and northeastern Platte County and the western portions of Clinton County as well.
For 70-mile-per-hour winds.
For 70-mile-an-hour winds. So that area, again, very much under the gun. And, you know, I bring this up often, whether it's tornadic winds of 80 miles an hour or straight line winds of 70 miles an hour, the damage is about the same. So get away from windows, all right? Make sure you're not near a window as these storms come on through. You know, it's a little notchy there that you need to watch just southwest of Plattsburgh. Further down the line, these storms are pushing out some stronger winds into Platte County right up towards KCI. Probably not landing many planes right now in the KCI area. The storms are perhaps a little less strong or not as strong into Leavenworth County, but still some real heavy rain. And then the storm intensity picks back up again once you get down into Douglas County. And I'm going to go further on down the line just to kind of give you an idea that we've got other storms that are down there. They're not moving eastward very quickly, but for Douglas County, soon to be into Franklin County, Ottawa, Baldwin City, Lawrence, I want you all to be just watching these storms. Nothing severe at this point, but they may have the ability of producing 40 to near 60-mile-an-hour winds. I haven't seen really any hail reports for quite some time, so that's good. More of the metro now under a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes a good chunk now of areas essentially west of I-35. So the potential certainly there for 50 to maybe 60-mile-an-hour winds, all associated with this particular severe thunderstorm warning. And the tornado watch, the good news about the watch is for areas west of Kansas City, the watch has essentially been dropped and canceled. So these severe thunderstorm warnings continue. They've dropped the tornado warning up towards Buchanan County. All right, so that's fabulous news. So we continue to have severe thunderstorms from Leavenworth into Platte, all the way on up the line into Andrew County. Severe thunderstorms continue, but for you folks up towards Buchanan County, you were under that tornado warning until 9 o'clock. That has now been dropped. But a severe thunderstorm warning now is in effect for you. So perhaps that circulation has weakened just a little bit. Again, as Jacob so elegantly put it, it's kind of like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
You're looking for these little circulations that could last for a few minutes, maybe one radar scan, and then they're gone the next radar scan. So it's very, very difficult to give you a ton of advanced information in terms of a tornado warning on these particular type of cells. But thankfully, they typically don't last for all that long. They're very short-lived.
Right.
And as we saw with this one particular cell, they've already canceled that particular warning up towards Buchanan County. Jacob.
And a lot of the times, you know, damaging straight line winds can do just as much damage as one of these weak spin-up tornadoes because they only last 1 or 2 minutes. Maybe 70, 80-mile-per-hour winds, and that's what we're seeing straight line winds for a more widespread region. So, you know, whether it's a tornado or straight line winds really doesn't change the type of damage that we're talking about here. I did just want to put these arrows here where I'm seeing 2 maybe quick couplets for the potential for a brief spin up. Again, I'm just trying to watch radar like a hawk and see where I might anticipate a quick spin up. I try to give you a little bit of warning here. Near Smithville, 92 and 169 highway. Near Smithville, there's a little bit of weak rotation, if not just gusty winds. And between Ridgely and Edgerton, that's going to push towards 169 there into southern Caldwell County, or Clinton County, rather. So those are 2 areas in the Northland that we need to watch for some quick spin ups. Otherwise, it's just this kind of Boeing segment line, as Joe has been showing you. There's these 2 notches, one near Trimble, one near Smithville. So that's kind of just what in my mind, I'm highlighting right now for a potential brief spin up. But again, the severe thunderstorm winds are probably going to be maximized here in Clinton County shortly. Plattsburgh, you're going to see these damaging winds in the next 10 minutes. 70-mile-per-hour winds, a strong low-level jet kicking in, and that's going to translate those winds down to the surface. 70-mile-per-hour winds could cause some tree damage up there towards the north. The good news for the metro is that we're more on the tail end of this bow, so the winds may not be as strong here in Kansas City proper, so we hope that trend holds. And then further back towards the south and west down I-35, not quite as organized from Lawrence down towards Ottawa and Richmond. So that's kind of what we're watching further off towards the south. Again, this kind of Boeing segment, as we look at the velocity mode, our wind mode up here in the Northland, it's interesting that they kind of dropped that tornado warning, because if there was a tornado, it could be kind of wrapping around up there right along 36 Highway. I don't think there's a tornado, but you can't rule it out. I bet there could be a little wall cloud right halfway between St. Joe and Easton, right along 36 Highway. So that's interesting. Do we have our view still from the storm ranger as they're out watching these storms? I'm just kind of curious what the clouds might look like, because sometimes the shape of the clouds, the movement of the clouds can give us a hint as to what may be happening further up towards the ground. So we'll maybe check back with them here in a moment. Still, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of showing here, as Joe, as I zoom in a little bit here in the Northland, just a little thingy right here near Trimble, a little thingy near Smithville Lake. Again, probably not a tornado, but a brief spin up. It's hard to see on radar, and I would not be surprised maybe if there's a quick thing there north, Smithville Lake to Trimble. That's what we're going to have to watch pretty closely here. over the next couple of minutes. So there's the wider view. Again, our severe thunderstorm warnings continue from Johnson County, Wyandotte, Leavenworth, all the way up to King City, St. Joe, and Cameron. The strongest winds are going to be right here and near Plattsburgh in Clinton County as we see this bowing line of winds pushing off towards the east. And then we'll be watching for some of those curly cues in this bow as well, Joe.
All right, I want to show you a couple of dramatic pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Time lapse, we're getting a very pronounced shelf cloud come into the west side of the metro, actually the west side of Kansas City, if you will. And if with the sun going down, it's going to look a lot scarier, perhaps, than what the weather will actually correspond to. That's the rain from earlier. Here comes the shelf cloud. This is our view from the Kansas Speedway. Wait for it. Whoosh. Kind of blows on through. Now, right when you get into that shelf cloud and just behind the shelf cloud, you can get some rather strong winds of 40 to upwards of 60 miles an hour. Here's the view as we take a look at radar, and I want to show you as well the Overland Park shot, because that was pretty impressive as well just a little while ago. Let's see if I can punch that up here real quick. Yeah, here it is. That's a nice shelf cloud. This is our view from Overland Park down towards 435 and Metcalf. We're looking off towards the west, and it's going to be right underneath and behind the shelf cloud. Actually, I'm kind of surprised there isn't more lightning, but that's where you get your stronger winds that will be connected to this thunderstorm as it blows on through. So this whole shelf cloud right in through there, this is coming right, if you will, towards my face. It's moving from west to east. So for those of you who are looking at this, perhaps from your window, it is a dramatic looking shelf cloud, and especially with the setting sun, it kind of enhances the look of that shelf cloud quite a bit. Up towards KCI, they've had during the course of the day upwards of 100, I believe, cancellations, delays. It's been a mess up towards KCI, especially with those flights that were coming in roughly between 4 and 5 o'clock, and maybe not a ground stop now, but I don't think anybody's flying into that.
Over 100 cancellations.
Say what?
Over 100 cancellations.
Over 100 cancellations, yeah. So here's a look from FOX4, our storm tracker, as it's coming into view, our storm ranger actually. You could see that shelf cloud definitely coming into the metro. Not exactly sure where they are. I could punch it up, I guess. They are definitely getting close to where that shelf cloud is. And again, there could be 40 to 60 mile an hour winds connected to that as it gets closer to Kansas City. As a matter of fact, if you come back to me, I'll tell you exactly where they are with perspective as they're looking off towards the west. There they are right now into Wyandotte County, right along I-70. So they're looking towards the Speedway, towards that shelf cloud, which is now moving right probably there, right around 435, or actually check that, right in here, down through there. So you could see it off in the distance from our storm ranger.
Coming into downtown.
Oh, they're coming into downtown?
Or are they on 635?
670, okay.
670.
Oh, okay. So they continue to advance and take a look at that. The storm up in northern Missouri, it's bowing out. So the ability of it producing some stronger winds is probably going up even higher.
Yeah.
Wanted to give you a storm track idea on this as well. This is heading towards Smithville by 8:55, Kidder by about 9:21, Hamilton 9:27, Breckenridge 9:40, Jamesport 9:41, Chillicothe right around 10 o'clock. The worst of the storm is now mostly off towards the east of St. Joe, but it stretches right on down towards near KCI, all the way down into Leavenworth. And notice how it's got that little bow look to it. And again, we worry about those leading edge type of circulations. No tornado warnings now. There were tornado warnings previously. Nothing to our knowledge has touched down, so those warnings have been canceled. But the severe thunderstorm warnings certainly continue for a large chunk of this area, including up towards Clinton County, approaching Davies County, down towards Buchanan, Platte, Andrew, nudging on up into Nottoway County, Leavenworth County, all under those severe thunderstorm warnings for a while longer. That continues down into northwestern portions of Johnson County. It does not include Douglas County, does not include Franklin County, at this point. So roughly, give or take, I-35 west within the metro, including 435 and 670, all under severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's going to go upwards of 9:30 or so, give or take. I wanted to quickly just see what this little guy is all about. Leavenworth County, 60-mile-an-hour winds reported at 8:30 around Jarbelo. So that's a pretty good storm, nothing crazy, but a pretty good storm. All right, so I think I want to take a little quick break and reset for the 9 o'clock show.
Yep.
All right, let's do that, and then we'll rejoin you for Fox 4 News at 9. Oh.
Okay, so we're going to carry it to our 9 o'clock newscast. And I did want to update everyone that our tornado watch has been extended until 11 p.m. No surprise there because we still have the storms coming through the metro, but now 2 more hours of this tornado watch here in the Kansas City metro. So again, what's happening is these mid-level jet stream is kind of strengthening a little bit over us here in Kansas City. And so that's enabling some of these stronger winds to reach the ground. And so that's why we're seeing kind of this Boeing segment of severe thunderstorms, mainly in the Northland. It is extending south a little bit, though. One good thing that I am seeing here on radar as well, I'll time this out first, and then I'll show you kind of the feature that I'm seeing. The latest storm track pushing off towards the east here, downtown Kansas City, 9:10, Independence, 9:30, Lee Summit at 9:40. And I'll show you here one of the good things I'm noticing is that there's a little bit now of an outflow on the south side of the metro. And what happens when there's an outflow is it's cooler air that the storm is in. So right here, that is the outflow boundary, and that's going to limit our tornado potential here in the Kansas City metro. This outflow is going to prevent these things from rotating, or it should. So that's good news to watch. So we're going to continue to monitor these. No tornado warnings right now, but we still do have the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the metro. This goes until 9 o'clock on the dot. So we'll see if that's extended. It probably will. And then up towards the north, we're seeing some of the strongest winds. So Joe, any final updates that you're seeing here before we start the news at 9?
Nothing dramatic, although we again continue with these severe thunderstorm warnings that are out. I wanted to show you this approach of this shelf cloud, the view from Kansas Speedway when they were getting into the heavy rain at around 3:45 or so. Here's the advancing shelf cloud. We had that little break for a while, and then wait for it, as here it comes from west to east, and now it's starting to pour again down towards the Speedway, out towards Wyandotte County. This is moving right towards the state line. Just be on the alert for 40 to upwards of 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's why we've got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, essentially for I-35 points westward. They may get extended towards the east of the I-35 corridor. We're going to take a quick open now, and then we're going to rejoin you. Fox 4 News at 9 starts now.
This is a Fox 4 Severe Weather Report.
And another round of storms for the metro as tornado warnings pop up north and east of Kansas City. Fox 4 Weather aware with severe thunderstorm warnings in place right now. I'm John Holt.
I'm Bria Lubb. 100 flight delays at KCI, 42,000 customers without power. Meteorologists Joe Lauria and Jacob Lanier, they're tracking the rest of your night. So let's start with Joe.
Yeah, Alex is in the Weather Center keeping an eye on some of the additional information coming on in, some of the new model data as well, as we continue to evaluate this whole thunderstorm complex that's rumbling back in. This is round 2, which we were sort of expecting to be rumbling on through, and that's what's going on right now. It's been a crazy day. Some of you have had 60, 70, close to 75-mile-an-hour winds down towards Johnson County. Downtown had 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds. KCI, 60 to 65-mile-an-hour winds. Large hail in some areas, some wind damage, some tornado damage well down towards the south, towards the lakes. And now tonight, shelf cloud moving right on top of Overland Park as we speak. Here's a look at radar. Storm bowing out just a little bit up here towards the Clinton County area. Plattsburgh up towards Cameron. Expect to see some stronger straight line winds from this. Perhaps 50 to 60, maybe close to 65-mile-an-hour winds. The storms that are coming into the metro, and this is interesting, this is what I was wondering about, perhaps now coming into the area that got pelted with that heavy weather between 4 and 5:30 or so late this afternoon, the flooding rains. And it's very conceivable that right on top of 435, right on top of Kansas City, the air is a little bit more stable. And look at how the storms, which were going pretty good, notice all the reds, starting to see way more in the way of yellows and oranges. I'm wondering if what happened this afternoon has affected what's coming in for tonight, and I am not complaining at all. But for this area up here, you weren't quite as affected by those heavier thunderstorms earlier this afternoon, so you're getting some of the stronger storms for areas south and west of Kansas City. Likewise, you were not affected by some of those heavier storms earlier, so there are some pretty strong thunderstorms down here, but no severe weather. And that's a good thing, obviously. But for the metro, we continue just to be on the safe side. Perhaps these storms are still cranking out 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, maybe something a little more. We continue to have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Parts of Leavenworth, Platte, Clay, Wyandotte, northwestern Johnson County, and that's going to go on for a little while longer. And again, severe thunderstorm warnings. These storms up here, north of Kansas City, look worse to me than the storms that are coming in into the metro as we speak. Jacob Lanier has also been analyzing some of the radar data. Want to bring him into this conversation. Jacob, what do you think about how things are evolving so far this evening?
Yeah, Joe, I think you're completely right. You know, where we usually see the apex of the bow, where the bow is the strongest and out in front is where we see the strongest winds. And that's what's happening right now up in the Northland in Clinton County, Plattsburgh. Those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are moving through in the next minutes. And so that's where we could see some damaging winds up across the Northland. The ETA for this line of strong thunderstorms across the Kansas City metro, downtown Kansas City here in the next 10 minutes, Independence at 9:30. Lee's Summit 9:45, Oak Grove closer to 10, and then eventually out towards Lafayette and Ray County by 10:15 or so. So that's where these storms are headed. I did want to show you the future radar here as we head into the overnight when these storms are going to be exiting the Kansas City metro, because that may impact your evening plans or tomorrow morning. There's our future radar showing the storms over us right now, but by 11 p.m. or so, the strongest weather is off to our east. We'll still have some pockets of rain in the overnight hours, maybe some rumbles of thunder even, but I think the storm activity will be below severe limits, and sprinkles around Tuesday morning should be exiting by 10 a.m. or so tomorrow morning. But we still watch a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, and we're also out watching the skies too, guys.
All right, quickly, just wanted to show you some of these severe weather reports that have come in, and then we'll send it off to John and Bria for an update on the news. Again, lots of wind reports. Some wind damage, trees were knocked down. It was quite the late afternoon around the area in addition to the flooding rains. The hail, at least within the heart of Kansas City, never got to be really big, upwards of maybe quarter size, but up towards the Kearney area, they had bigger than golf ball size hail. I'm going to put some pictures on Facebook either tonight or tomorrow with some of the really interesting shaped hailstones up towards the Kearney area. But notice most of this was right along the I-35 corridor, give or take. There have been some additional severe weather reports into Johnson County, up towards Platte County. KCI had a wind gust to 62, and over into Leavenworth County as well, with some 60 mile an hour winds and some hail upwards of perhaps quarter size. But where you see all these reports, that also corresponds to where the heaviest rains came down. 2 to 4, close to 5 inches of rain in some areas. If you were taking a nap between about 4 and 6 o'clock or so, you slept through some pretty big thunderstorms that rumbled through with tons of lightning, torrential rains, and thankfully not a lot of damage aside from some of the trees that got knocked down and quite a few power outages. I'm sure the folks at Evergy and some of our other local power companies are going to be keeping busy for tonight. With that said, we'll keep an eye on radar, give you some updated information as we get it. We'll give you another update here coming up in a few minutes. But now let's go ahead and kind of continue Fox 4 News at 9 with Bria and John.
Joe, thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Fox 4's Crystal Martinez, she's out checking those road conditions tonight.
Now continuing our weather-aware coverage, she's live on the Missouri side right now. Staying ahead of the storm, she's live at the Truman Sports Complex and looking right back at that shelf cloud that Joe Lauria was talking about a moment ago.
Yeah, you guys got to get a look at this. Hello from the K. We went from chasing the storm to kind of the storm chasing us. We wanted to get a head out in front of it so you guys can see the shelf cloud that we've been talking about. But guys, I wish I could have taken you back to maybe a half hour ago when we were at Kansas Speedway and we saw that shelf cloud, like the way that it came together, the way it was rolling in. I mean, It was incredible, and as Joe said, it looked way more dramatic than what it is actually producing. But you can still see here the lights. We're kind of depending on the lights on the city here to show you how this storm is moving in. Now going over KC Metro. Again, we started out at the Kansas Speedway over there on the west side. We first started coming together, and you just saw how quickly it got very dark and very windy. But what we also noticed that Joe mentioned earlier, we didn't see a lot of lightning at first, and we still really haven't seen a ton of lightning. After that, we decided to head out in front of the storm as best as we could, and we headed out here now, again at the Truman Sports Complex, just giving you a look at this storm moving in to the area. It is incredible. So far, haven't dealt with too many road conditions, especially considering the storm that hit during rush hour. We're not seeing any of that right now, but again, we are ahead of the storm. We can tell you that it was very windy out there. So if you have anything outside on your porch now and you're still ahead of the storm, you may want to bring that stuff in. John, Bria, head it back to you.
All right, Crystal Martinez live in the Storm Ranger out there checking things out. She's out at the Truman Sports Complex. Here's a look at some of the damage on the outer parts of our viewing area. Jason Cupp sent these pictures in from 10 miles outside of Warsaw on the Missouri side. Trees down, cabins damaged in the Lake of the Ozarks region. Henry County also investigating reports of trees on cars in the Leeville area.
Meanwhile, Fox 4's Jacob Sloan, he's been tracking some of the damage in the metro. He joins us live north of the river near the airport as that second round of storms approaches. Jacob?
Hey, Bria, well, we found the second line of storms. We were waiting right by Kansas City International, and it started raining pretty hard. Let's show you where we're at now, heading east towards the Liberty area. We're on 435, just over Highway 169. But earlier today, the storms, as Joe and Jacob have followed all day, were pretty intense. We saw some good damage in Olathe, a tree that fell into somebody's yard, a street, and into the driveway. I mean, a pretty significant tree, large branches that have fallen down. Those roots were pulled straight out of the ground. It was really something that only Mother Nature could do. We got a good look at it while they were kind of cleaning things up and taking care of business there. Thankfully, in that situation, everybody at home was in the house, and thankfully, no one was hurt.
First, I heard my daughter crying hysterically. She was just crying. And then I came up to see what was going on, looked out the window, and this big tree was laying in the middle of my yard, blocking my driveway and blocking the street. I have never seen anything like this, even like in neighborhoods where it's just a tree-lined streets I used to live on. Never seen anything like this.
Definitely something crazy to witness, and right now we're still heading east 435. The heaviest of the rain is behind us. So if you are on the, let's see, that would be the east side of Highway 169, on the east side of Smithville, that stuff is heading your way, and so are we. We'll check in later with a little bit more on where this storm might be heading, guys.
Jacob Sloan live outside in the rain tonight. Jacob, thanks. And well, here's another example of some of the tree damage. The high wind late this afternoon caused these trees to go down near 80-mile-an-hour gusts, according to the National Weather Service. 2 trees fell near 107th and Lamar in Overland Park, blocking traffic for a time. Again, in this situation, no one hurt. The good news, power is beginning to come back on. Up to 42,000 customers at the height of the storms earlier today. Evergy now says it's down to about 17,000. The BPU in Kansas City, Kansas, about 200 still out, and over in Independence, about 900 that Independence Power and Light is working on. So that's going to continue throughout the night, no doubt, and hopefully this next round of storms won't create any additional problems. And during times of severe weather, you can certainly keep up with us, even when you're away from your TV. We stream live on FOX4KC.com and the Fox 4 app, and we also stream on our connected TV app for Roku, Apple, and Amazon Fire.